Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. And welcome to. All right, okay, so people can hear me. All right, we'll be starting shortly. And please ensure your audio is muted. Today's session will be recorded for internal documentation purpose. On behalf of Pertubuhan PAM, Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia PAM, I would like to warmly welcome all PAM members and non-members joining us today for today's session, AI as Design Partner. My name is Firadaus. I will be your MC for today. Assalamualaikum and good morning to everyone. We are delighted to see such a strong interest in understanding how artificial intelligence is transforming architecture practice today. Let me briefly walk you through today's program. We'll be joined by Josh Gaida and the Figura team. For the first session, they will cover global development and trends in AI in architecture, how international firms are using AI, overview of AI tools, introduction to the Figura ecosystem, live demonstration, and lastly, we will have a Q&A session. So for those that have questions, you don't have to write in the chat box. You can wait until Josh's session is over, that we have a Q&A session. For today also, you will also receive a subscription discount code for Figura Malaysia, which later Josh will inform you how to apply for it. And then we have a break for 10 minutes before we start session 2, which will be presented by Architect Jun Chow. This session will be focusing on training a LoRa in Figura as Design DNA using large language models such as Gemini, using Google AI Studio and Flow as smart design assistants, using Notebook LM as a smart research companion, and integrated design demonstration. And after that, we have another Q&A with Architect Jun Chow. So we expect to conclude our workshop by 1 p.m. Before we start, we would like to extend our appreciation to our sponsor, USC, and partners for supporting this knowledge sharing initiative. Your support enables PAM to continue empowering architects with forward-looking tools and perspective. All right, without further delay, it's my pleasure to hand over to Josh Gaida and the Figura teams. Josh, the virtual stage is yours. Thank you.
Thanks so much. It's a real pleasure to be with you guys, and thanks so much for the invite. Thanks, June, as well. It's really great to be with you. It is 8 p.m. for me. I'm in Boston, in the US. I've been here for a few years now. I'm originally Italian, but I'm happy to give you guys a nice deep dive into my world, into the world of AI and architecture, and how we have been engaging with practices over the last few months and year with the platform Figura. So hopefully this becomes a great starting point for a longer, broader conversation into the changing practice. This new and emerging landscape that is unfolding underneath us. So I'll be describing AI in architecture, the future of practice, and how really the latest generative AI tools are starting to have a considerable impact on day-to-day practice and a considerable impact on the creative profession. This is from a workshop we hosted, a student, Prasana, who completed this in just a few hours of first using the tool. Now, a brief introduction, I think it always helps. From myself, I am an architect by training, originally from Italy. I studied at the Architecture Association, worked many years at Foster's in London, Foster and Partners, and then went to Harvard, started my own practice, did a lot of consultancy work, advising medium and large practices, and in these earlier days of understanding what AI was going to change and influence in the profession. And it's been really exciting to work on a national level with REBA and the AIA in the US in their AI expert advisory groups. I also teach at Harvard, and I like to keep an academic hat on as much as possible, even though things are really exciting and kicking off with this platform, which I'll give you a glimpse into in just a moment as a segue for broader conversations. But this is a glimpse into Xfigura. You can see us as an early ideation and concept design tool, which leverages all of the best generative AI models in one place. I also do quite enjoy keeping this academic hat on with no more than one class a semester. Every term it's something new, but this is an example of this triad I do enjoy teaching between architecture, between this emerging future of practice, of businesses, of entrepreneurship. So trying to blend in startup culture as well into the profession, but also rethinking interface, rethinking prototyping and tool building. We've now reached a point in which AI is able to give us the possibilities to vibe code or to create software beyond just talk about the simple workflow. Can we design tools? Can we be empowered, even as designers, without a technical background, to design, ideate, and create emerging new tools and new workflows? I'm going to divide this talk. It'll be about 30 or so minutes, or even less. We're going to dive deeper into a hands-on deep dive into the platform Xfigura to give you guys a glimpse into some workflows which are possible today, from ideation, image creation, video, and 3D model creation as well. So to set the scene, I'll use Phil Bernstein's diagram on how the technological evolution has really been influenced through various technological shifts. So we've gone from analog, so manual drafting, to CAD, to BIM, to what I would distinctly describe last year as the beginning, at least in architecture, of a long new phase of AI and machine learning. So each machine capabilities on this left column have brought different opportunities, different possibilities across this evolution. We've gone from documentation of plans, of sections, of perspectives, drawings, into into elements of precision, into gradually early ideas of coding, of grasshopper analytics, well, leading to where we are today, into a space of creation, in this case, where we are today, of simple guided idea generation. We can start using these models, even though, of course, always with a critical eye and always keeping in mind our standard of care and our responsible control and our duty to the public. But we can start leveraging some of these tools to start automating, to start improving design qualities, and to support us when helpful within that creative process. Now, what's going to be really interesting and at times also scary, and for that reason, we do need to engage in many more of these discussions, is this next stage after this. What is artificial general intelligence? What is superintelligence? Now, it's important to say that there's not scientific consensus over the word intelligence. And so you have to keep all the hype that's happening out in all the tech industries, from the OpenAIs to the Metas. Everyone says AGI will come in the next 2, 5, or 8 or so years. And so what that can mean for architecture is potentially in future a fully autonomous design process, where you can imagine or you can think a building, and that thought can then be converted into text, into images, into drawings, into construction documentation, and finally then be built. And so there's actually some interesting research from Meta to decode thoughts. Can we imagine something and actually convert it into an image versus just into text? I only say this as a speculation for now, but it's something I use to provoke thoughts on how we really need to stand together to really critically assess and understand the impact of these new technologies on the profession. So in the US, this is already from a few months, from over a year ago, actually, 6.1 claim to use it regularly for their jobs. Many are experimenting. This number is certainly on the rise. This is from a report we put out in REBA in the UK, and you can see year on year the use of AI, at least on an occasional project, has increased almost 20%. And this rise is certainly increasing at a much faster rate, and it'll be interesting this year how these numbers unfold. Now, where are we today? There's certainly a lot of hype, a lot of attention for the chatbots, also a lot of attention for image generation tools, grammar. However, we're starting gradually to see some emerging new use cases that are starting to address the complexities of architecture and the profession. And so these are rethinking what is BIM. What is BIM 2.0? What is AI embedded into our current 3D workflows? How can we start leveraging these chatbots, generative AI workflows, large language models, and embed these through what this is a technical term, MCPs, model context protocols, through agentic RAG models, retrieval agentic generation models, or other methods, and I'll explain further later what these mean, how we can start connecting just language, but then start leveraging the code or the underlying libraries and code behind the Rhino, the grasshoppers, and different tools to create forms, to automate construction documentation, to review drawings. There's so many different applications where AI is already having huge impacts. So we need to definitely make a clear distinction on the values we as humans bring and the opportunities, the spaces in which we can leave way or leave more space for AI to automate. AI automation, as much as we push against it, will certainly come, and early adopters will certainly have a competitive edge from those who do not adopt and use these tools. It's important, though, to be critical of the tool builders, including myself, in understanding, and assessing and discussing how the interfaces bring in a feedback loop, a conversation, that agency which is nested back should always be nested with the architect and the designer or creative. Okay. I'm going to take a next step and jump into AI tools in practice. Now, for this, I will be using Xfigura, the platform which I founded over a year ago. We have seen an incredible growth in the last 5 months. We're a team of almost 15 now. We just concluded a big fundraise. And so we have a lot of great momentum internally. We have a lot of new ideas, and I'd love to hear all of your thoughts in the Q&A, answer any questions you might have on this or in other applications of these generative AI workflows in architecture. So I couldn't obviously do it without this incredible team. Our partners have really been expanding and growing in the last few months. This is a very short list of a longer list of clients. We are mainly business enterprise first. We also do collaborate very closely with universities and institutions globally, from Harvard, Penn, to American University of Sharjah, London, Hong Kong, all locations. You can see the platform Xfigura as one collaborative platform in which you can create endless workflows, endless possibilities within this ideation and visualization framing. We have all of the best models on the platform already. So it's about 70 models. We handpick these and get a lot of feedback. In June has been influential in this early journey of ours. These go from OpenAI models to upscaler models. Some of these terms might be very odd and peculiar, Kling, Runway. These are all generative AI models which help you from simple text prompts or image inputs. They're very multimodal, permit you to ideate and have different output, different designs and concepts. So these models go across different representational types. They go across text, so all the language models. They go across image models. For those who may know, Google launched a model called Nano Banana. It was their marketing team's fun naming of a model, and it certainly had a lot of traction and did the job it needed to. It is also an amazing model at the same time, so it's equally a fun name and a great model. There have since been the Pro version. We just launched Nano Banana 2. There's a lot of fun names in there. We've got upscalers, video models, 3D generative models, and we were the first company to integrate World Labs. I'll give you a glimpse into what World Labs is. It is very early days. We'll certainly see a lot of development just from that front, I'm sure. There's also the Genie 3 model. I'm going a little technical now, but think of this, just to think, I think in the last 2 weeks, they've raised $1 billion, 200 million of which from Autodesk. So I'm sure it's going to be an interesting space by itself.
Every great designs.
So this is a glimpse into the platform. So every great design begins with a direction from a single idea in which we can start imagining different possibilities. So you can see the infinite canvas here. You can click and then create, essentially you can see these as mini apps. Each node is connected to one another. You can navigate from one node from images to videos, and you can go back and forth to render, to relight, to make videos, to convert images into 3D. There's so many fun different workflows. And then of course you can create lots of automations, templates. We are launching, well, we have launched agents, and this agentic space is just going to get better and better. We're fully enterprise ready. You can share boards as view only, as edit only. I'm going to try not to put a sales hat on and keep this more conversational and more workshop-like, because this is, I would like you to take as a takeaway from this call of more of an exposure into the different models and different tools. If anyone, of course, is interested, we have the credits. We can engage in conversation and guide you along this journey. So these are some fun workflows that obviously we have embedded in the tool. These are all of the core concept design workflows. Now it's important to understand that the basic, the fundamental workflow of these generative AI models, it starts very much at the prompt. If we understand how to communicate design intent, how to communicate an idea, we are almost there. So it's really interesting. It's this constant conversation between understanding how to work with these tools. You still have to learn how to communicate with these models, but also how to take one step back as a designer, remove any intuitions we might have on language and how we describe architecture, and really boil things down. Let's describe materials, shapes, aesthetics, camera locations, a feeling, an aesthetic. There's so many things that we might otherwise take granted, and now we have to really describe. This is the core use case right here, image to render. You can bring a Rhino screenshot, a Revit screenshot, a sketch, or a picture of a site or a vacant lot. Anything goes. You can keep full coherence over that input geometry or completely alter it. You can then explore all these different workflows. In painting is like generative fill in Photoshop. You can train models. You can enhance these to render grade possibilities. You compare the cost of visualization before AI to the cost of making high resolution visuals post AI or post Xfigura, it is completely negligible. So you're spending, you know, dollars, or you're spending very little compared to the hundreds or often thousands you would spend on the single render, giving the architect, the designer, even the visualizer control again in a designed and I would say also fun way. So these are some other workflows. We're seeing a lot of interest, a lot of use cases in the video space, and I'll give you some glimpses as was asked of us to show how some companies are engaging with Xfigura. So this is just a glimpse of some video workflows, of some transformations, of some geometries. Now there's lots of video models out there already. And what's interesting here, you maybe can't quite read it, but we're starting to stitch the very first frame with the very last frame and then combining these together to create different scenes and different connections. This, I would say, actually is not the latest models out there. There are models that produce much higher resolutions. So in Xfigura, we like to question different topics. So can AI actually participate in design? Can AI actually participate in the thinking process? How as a platform should we engage? How much agency should we embed within the prompting mechanisms for the architect, and how much should we support within that process? How can AI actually participate in creating workflows? And so we have an agent now which does give the possibility from a text prompt to create a full workflow already. And so our mission at core is really to enhance and not replace architects and designers. And so we're really trying to push for a new type of design quality versus merely discussing things of automations or templates, which are often at times prioritized. So this is just a glimpse into some workflows that are being used in different practices. We've seen an incredible adoption from companies, for example, at big architects. We've got their adoption across multiple offices, same with Zaha, KPF, Faulkner Brown. We're seeing hundreds of users within each of those practices really push the design conversation, or also really start producing in new collaborative ways within teams. So this is a glimpse into how Faulkner Brown, a British company, is using it to go from clay renders into final client-ready images. These can be further upscaled, improved. They can be sketchy. They can be stylized in any way. However, with a few controls and prompts and iterations, you can get to this quality. These are some images to show how Zaha is starting to engage with it in relighting scene, in converting images into sketches, into extracting materiality, or start converting different shapes and applying new tectonic systems to their interior spaces. So this was part of an article that was recently published with RIBA journal that just came out, I believe, a month ago. And finally, this brings us to big architects, also really diving deep into so many workflows and going from single images, changing materials, changing times of day, adding people. They've explored so many interesting conversations and have been really central in influencing our roadmap and helping understand what is useful, what type of tools should we start exploring, and how are architects actually engaging with these. Relighting, material, model explorations from physical to digital, digital to physical, image to 3D model, back and forth. So we're seeing such interesting possibilities across these practices. So we're seeing this gradual shift, and this is up for an interesting discussion I would love to engage with, which is a potential shift from AI solely seen as a tool into AI actually seen as a collaborative agent. Scale matters, so we can begin from a single workflow. We can explore super high-res images. We can make more complex workflows. We can go from the high level, from zoomed out views. We can zoom straight into details. We can leverage these generative models to give us a glimpse into different tectonics, different systems that even form the assembly of these. We can then in Paint, we can edit some images, and you have all, think of it as a mini Photoshop already embedded in the platform. You can change views, you can prompt, it's very versatile. Now it really boils down to understanding how to prompt. How can you converse with these models? How can you engage or ask the right thing based on your own design intent? And so these are just to cover a few other workflows. We have these images right here in which we can start with a screenshot of a Rhino view. And then from that screenshot, it can either be a one-to-one translation, or you can actually position it within a site. And with few prompts, you can actually start changing the camera location. Can you get a view from the interior? Can you get a view of a detail of that facade system? Now, it's important to remember with these models that there's no physics understanding. If there will be a column flying, spinning, or doing strange things, that is back on us as architects with our disciplinary knowledge to say, okay, no, let's stop for a moment. These are trained on image data sets. They do come with a full bias. There's no such thing as an objective data set. So with that awareness, we can prompt and bring in our own subjectivity, our own references, our own styles. And we can begin moving past the single image and start bringing a client along a journey. Let's actually move past the static render and begin discussing immersion, storytelling, narrative. Let's bring a client throughout this building, from the entry to the spaces, to interiors, to across a site. Now this is gradually expanding. You can see this is a glimpse into the world model. This is by World Labs. It's a model called, Marble. So you can convert a single image into a 3D space. It is imperfect today, but it's a really interesting glimpse into how things are going to change. And so you can, from the single image, you see we're able to create a full space. This is what's called, I'm going back to the technical, it's called a Gaussian splat. Think of it as a point cloud, which is, of course, for architects, very difficult to work with, but it's opening up a new type of conversation. Can we start designing with prompts? Can we start editing in different ways versus always having to have the full editable surface? We have added some multiple workflows in this so you can use it. I would say the use case of this for now is change the view with control of an image. You can now key shot a video through this space. We're launching this very soon. And then you could do a video to video workflow and then create a view or an animation through an interior space. This does not work very well at all for 3D, for exterior spaces. So think of the use case more on the interior side of things for now. This is just a glimpse of some other workflows. So we have a render, an input render, maybe lower res on the left. We can then convert it and ideate here. So let's ideate, add a Louis Vuitton aesthetic. Let's bring in different bags. Let's bring in interior elements. and then start creating our own workflows. I want to change the flooring. I want to in-paint, so I can paint like in Photoshop, add people in it with a blur. That may be something I want. And then our final image is an upscaled image. You can see it's ×2. And so you can get, this is pretty much a render grade output. And you can actually upscale much more than this at ×4 or use some of the other models as well. One last, this is a last example of a workflow in which you can create different scenes, different moments throughout a building, and you can see how you can start bringing a client along a journey through different moments, different seasons, different spaces, through concept designs, through sketches. It's really fun. We've seen so many offices really engage with these tools across all different stages within concept or competitions, even for submission boards. So we should really start expanding the possibilities, and we need to think less about the actual individual render, but more about what we as architects bring to the table. So to close and for some final few slides, I wanted to highlight what's really coming out now, because everything I've described until now is gradually being adopted, and what's really coming in the next 12, actually, it's already here, and its adoption will certainly come in the next 12 or more months, is this idea of agents. So do we make better decisions alone or with the assistance of AI? This is an interesting conversation we're having internally. How should we build our tool to support architects? How much should we support them versus encourage a training mechanism to encourage learning, education, and this creative process? And so part of what I teach and part of what we build at the core of Xfigura is this solid feedback loop of information. We're never trying to replace architects. It's always giving architects this full multimodal control. Hence our opposition to the current trend, which is the no UI trend. And so we're seeing a lot of tools nowadays, a lot of these ChatGPT tools, and they are just insert text here, and here's your input, here's your outputs. Architecture has a lot more complexity. And for that reason, we like to build out this workflow, this node-based structure, so that architects can have full agency in designing. There's templates, automations, ways of making it simpler that I can give a glimpse into, but at the core, it is very much a self-building process. So this is just a quick glimpse into some of the thoughts that we have. I thought we'd share some of this. And there is this fine line between an over-reliance in these AI tools. They're getting so good that in practice, architects are leaning possibly at times too heavily on them. And then you have this side right here where there's, let's say, these AI models can make recommendations. However, it's very much how you design these systems that will dictate how you can engage and how you can promote learning, how you can promote the design process. If a junior architect joins a practice, what tools should they use, and how can those dictate how good of an architect they will grow into? And so we're trying to keep this balance of, keeping that engagement high, but not automating and not giving too much, let's say, from the language model, from the automation as a baseline side, to give people the control. So it is finding this right balance that we're trying to strive. So how can you work in this cycle? How can you use different tools without forcing an answer, without biasing an answer as a default, to promote the human always to be the decision maker within that final output. This is a small glimpse into our current agent. This week it will actually, by Monday, we'll get a big upgrade. So you're going to see web search, you're going to see a lot of new automations. But at the moment, what you're able to do, of course, enhance prompts and all of the basics, but you're starting to be able to use different tools from this prompting interface. So you can text prompt. I want to generate a workflow of a tower with a video, and then use different prompts to automate those videos. And so it's a text to workflow. It can create that custom workflow, which is very much different one architect from another. Some closing images, 2 slides. This is just a glimpse of some other tools. You can obviously upload your own geometry. We have an editor, which is like a mini Photoshop, and then you can control parameters or actually train your own image data sets. We do have all of the necessary plugins at the moment, so you can use Xfigura directly within Rhino. You can use it directly as of this coming Thursday. I believe we will launch it in Revit, and Speckle is already live, and you can connect Pinterest. We've seen a lot of interest in tools, creative tools like that. Awesome. I am going to now take a moment to dive deep into the platform. I will give an introduction to the interface, and then I'll share some sample boards, which you guys can have a look at after this. And if anyone has questions, I see there's quite a few in the chat, but I think we can get to any of these in the Q&A in maybe 30 or so minutes. Okay, so let me pull up Xfigura. Okay. Let me just get one thing, and then we're just gonna get started. Okay. Here is the code. I've added also in the chat a code if anyone is curious. That's for a 25% discount for the first month on the checkout, and you can access that on the pricing page on any of the plans. So you can click on like the pro plan, and then you would have access by adding the code I put in the chat right here. Okay, so from the homepage, you'll be able to log in with any email, Gmail or whatnot. The code, for those who did not catch that, I'll just repeat that once more. If anyone goes on either of the 2 plans, we do have an enterprise plan, of course, but if you click on choose plan, it is a credit-based system. You can insert workshop Malaysia. Oh, I obviously have a plan active.
It's actually at Xfigura-Malaysia. I just at Xfigura-Malaysia.
Okay, I still can't use it because okay. I have a plan active, but this I guess this is the code. Cool. So to access Xfigura, you can also you can log in for free. You get 25 free credits, and you can feel free to test it out even as we go through this, call it a workshop session right now. Feel free to post in the chat. I will try to keep an eye out on the side as much as I can to any questions we have here. Okay, so what we're going to do is go on the boards page, and then I'm going to start with a new board and say 2603 let's say 10, and we can create that project. Okay, so now we've entered into a board, and you can see it's an infinite canvas. Think of it as a Miro-like platform where you can literally drag and drop any images, or you can go back to your history and say, okay, I really liked this past image. Let me just drag it on, or you go to a website, you say tower, tower in Kuala Lumpur or something, and then just literally you can drag an image onto the platform and then have it right there. Okay, so it is an infinite canvas. Think of it as a space where you can share boards, you can collaborate with others, you can copy the link, or you can email someone and say, I want to permit you, I want to let you edit it, or you can have it as view only. So if you're audacious enough, you can share it with clients, of course, but it's great for internal teams. Okay, so the core node, the core use of Xfigura, or at least the starting point, is going on this toolbar on the far left and selecting an image node. So I've selected this image node right here. See, you can see this very much as a whole platform in itself. Now, I'll reiterate this, that the traditional process of using any of these models is literally getting a subscription, going onto a website, and then having only access to one model. And we don't offer the one model, we offer 70. So instead of going to Ideogram, instead of going to OpenAI or with ChatGPT, we have all of them in one place. They're divided into different modalities. So you can access the video models right here, under right here, under this is text to image, or you can, I'll just give a quick glimpse. These right here are the image to video workflows. Okay, I'm going to slow down for a moment. Okay, so we have this, it's a single node. It's a platform in itself with all the models. The starting point is just to click on it, and then we can say a tower in with, we can just say a tower in Malaysia. And actually, what we're gonna, I'll just click generate, which is the button on the top right, bottom right. And so that's all you literally need to do to get started. If you want to just tinker around, you can start with this. But the real interesting part is then creating a workflow. So we can use this image as a baseline image, and we can start connecting that to different models, to different nodes. So think of it as an accessible grasshopper where you're connecting. It's a flow of information. It's definitely not meant to be as complex as Grasshopper. This is, I guess, quite a symbolic. You have the two towers in Kuala Lumpur, the Petronas towers, and you can see already the bias that's happening with this model. And so with a very short text, this model assumes that when I say tower, it will generate specifically in Malaysia, that's what at least the data sets are most commonly leaning towards. And so we need to put a lot more effort in really starting to specify, okay, what more describes that tower? How can I be much more intentional about what I want? And so you can then take this prompt. I'm going to just copy it. And this is just a way to show you how to leverage the language models. I'm going to click text. And so here we're leveraging all the text models. And I'm going to paste that node in, paste that text in. And so in this case, we're going to use ChatGPT's model. This is the GPT-5 nano model. We can also use a conversational model and just chat with it like we would in ChatGPT. And this already enhanced it. So we can take the enhanced version. This is what I was describing earlier. How much do we automate versus how much do we give agency to you as designers? How much should we fine tune these models towards? So I'm connecting now. You can see these right here are connection points. So think of it as a flow of information. You have your inputs on the left and you're connecting it to the next node. So in this case, we're connecting text to text. And so now we are taking that text right here. And so I'm going to, since I have a text here, I can bring that text in and then generate again. I will again use Nano Banana, or I can swap the model and use any Nano Banana 2, which is, it's the latest model that just came out from Google. So if you do want to test that Google model, all you have to do is zoom in, click on the node, and then click on Nano Banana 2. Okay, so we have our image input. Let's wait for that to load in a second. What we can do now is start augmenting this workflow. We've done text to image. Now what we can do is go from image and then convert it into a new image. Okay, so let's read the prompt. Futuristic observation tower rising above the lush rainforest canopy in Malaysia. You see, it's really created a lot of text, which I would have otherwise not thought about. And you can, of course, change that text and say, oh, I didn't mean that. I didn't want it to be futuristic. I wanted it to be XYZ. And so what's actually really interesting is being able to reverse the process. So what if I have an image? Let's say, what if I had this image I really liked and I liked the aesthetic behind it. I grew up in Rome and I was thinking, what if we could think of a palazzina or like a urban block in Rome and reimagine it in a crazy, provocative way. And we also connect that to text and start getting the description of that image. And so all I'm doing here is I reverse the process. I'm going from image to text as a way to teach myself how is the model understanding. In this case, a common application is, let's use a past render we've spent thousands of dollars or whatnot on. What are the prompts that these models might use to understand to then generate new images? A visually striking futuristic apartment building, not like, you can see now we're getting the model's interpretation or a suggestion to us on how we can start engaging with these models. This is an excellent design discussion right here, in which we can start understanding what is necessary for us to communicate our design intent to express this level of complexity without any assumptions. And so we can have, we'll describe what's in the foreground, the camera location is maybe in a certain perspective, what's in the background, is this a tessellated materiality, what is the material? And so we can now actually compare. A shortcut right here is clicking right here, or I can click on the left-hand side. Remember, this is always that toolbar. And you can connect, again, this image, this text node. It's going text to image, and then I'm creating a new render from this. So I did image to text with a past render maybe. I used the text which I adapted, and I created a new image from it. Okay, so now we've covered mood boarding. This is great for the very, very first point. Let's get some ideas on the table. Let's ideate. How can we think of new concepts? Fine. Okay, what's the next step? We have a client brief. We're working on a competition. We need to move fast. What do? We go to Rhino. We take the client brief. We start unpacking it. These are the constraints. This is the floor area. This is the This is the general massing. It needs to be 3 stories high. These are site constraints, or this floor plan is approved by the client. Let's get a basic shape in line. So let's say rhinoceros 3D architecture. Let's bring in, we can say, okay, I made a rhino model of a staircase. I guess maybe we can try to use this. Assume this is beautifully made in Rhino or something. We can, if it's not too big of an image. Okay, so we have our screenshot. I just did a screen grab. Imagine if that were the case. And so what I can do now is do an image. I'll do the same workflow as before. Image right here. I'm connecting my sketch or my massing model with very little detail. There's way too much detail, by the way, in this image that you could need, that you can go as far as you need to. I'm connecting, since this is an image, it's blue on blue, and that's as complex as it gets. And I can edit this image. So I can say, use this input image and add a golden, why not stick on the golden theme, cladding material, locate this. Okay, so we have, what are we doing here? I'm going to also change the model just to compare what is nano 2 at a scale factor times 2. We're using Nano Banana 2 now, the latest model from Google. We have put in an image input based on our own design, our own site constraints, our client briefs. And then we are conditioning that output with the text, with our design intent to create a certain output. And so now you can see the prompt is quite simple. We can definitely start learning and use words that we might have used here, and then use some of these words in our prompt. And so while that loads, you can also see image to text. This is the text that then generated this output, which we can enlarge. And so it's not identical to that first input, but it's very close to it. We have the, St. Peter's Basilica in the back. We've got the Roman, like this is very much center of Rome, Trastevere type area. You've got a, Fiat 500, and that golden cladding. So that design intent is certainly coming through. Usually a faster model. You please feel free to maybe write in. Is there another way of signing in the webinar? Maybe that's a question in the chat. So what we're doing now is image to image. And what we can then do, what I do suggest, is continuing this workflow. So really iterating and adding steps along the way. I will pause for questions possibly at the end. Feel free to write them in the chat. Maybe I'll keep it more, since we're a large group, I'll keep this more conversational, workshopy, and then any questions, we can spend 20, 30 minutes right at the end. Okay, I'm going to pull up a different model. We can load it at the same time. I'm going to use the Nano Pro model. I'm going to do ×2, which is very high quality. It takes longer for these. And I'm going to generate 2 images instead of just 1. And then what we can start doing is comparing this. I'm going to move a little fast here. We're going to compare this with different models. And so I will say that Google at times has really high usage. And so sometimes when that does happen, it is one of the most popular models now. What's really interesting actually to see is how every month or 2 months, the most popular model really changes quite drastically. And so a model that I do really like now is Seedream, or I'd really, maybe we can use some of the other models. Let's use Flux, this model here, maybe 2 images as well. Oh, and I think I forgot a prompt. I didn't even put a prompt here. Oops. So with no prompts, which is my mistake, it was already able to apply that texture. In this case, it added some people. In this case, it actually added, you can see it's starting to add materiality to it. And so I think something's up with Nano too. I'm just going to, let's use this as a base right here. Okay, so what I do suggest now is to really start continuing that creative process. And we can say, use this image input and change the clad to a purple marble cladding. I'm going to move on to some other workflows right after this. Since Pro worked, we're going to move to 2 images on Pro. And once you have this image, just to wrap up and give you, wrap up this workflow, I'll show you another board in just a moment. You can also then continue and start piecing this whole workflow together. Okay, so we've done image to image. We've done image to image again and changed something new to it. What we can do is also begin adding a style. And so I might want to, just for conversation, okay, here we have, I added a purple marble cladding to this image. Let's compare the before, which defaulted to concrete, which is super interesting, into a purple cladding on an undulated surface. You have 2 options to choose from. We've not specified what the floor is. We can add details. We can define what the back is, what the time of the year. We can start really getting creative here. Actually, I'll do it once more super quickly. Change to a snowy scene in the Arctic. Okay, we're gonna, actually I use nano normal. I'm gonna compare that. And you can see now I've branched. I've created a first branch. We'll use Pro, let's do 4 images, why not? And then we'll click generate. So now we're changing the time of the year. And so here, you can add your whatever location. You can say in the, in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, in a tropical site, in a frosted environment, you can really start changing. And you can see that coherence is really sticking. You want to maintain everything, you can certainly prompt it and say, do not change this, do not change that, and we'll maintain whatever you prompted to keep. Okay, we have our image that we're happy with. Let's say it's this one. What we can do, let's say we're ready to submit a competition, we're ready to move to be client facing, or ready to move forward. 2 routes. We can create a video from this. We can also upscale the image. If we want to edit certain elements, I'll show you all 3 actually. We can, oops. We can also use the editor, which is super interesting. So we can use the editor right here, and we can actually prompt it like we would when we comment on renders. And so when you comment on a render, it's usually this really interesting dance, and it takes quite a lot of time, in which you're trying to communicate that design intent, but also move fast and keep quality. So we can actually prompt in here and say, change the floor to show green. And so you might want to then draw an arrow and say, like, I don't know, do it right here. You can add different elements. You can also remove backgrounds. You can add silhouette people if you wanted to, and start then iterating and adding any element you would to a markup. You can, of course, bring in multiple different images and then start saying, add, literally import a texture and start saying, add this texture here, edit this here. And so we can then close this. See, might not have saved, so it's fine for this case. So this would be, we'll check this, but this would be a workflow to then ideate and use the compositor as a visualization or as an editing tool. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. You were looking at the question and answer just now. Actually, there's one button at the bottom there, Q&A. So that's where the question comes. In case if you want to answer in between your.
Oh, I see the questions.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. 1 second. All right. 3D format. Okay, I'll get into some of these questions. Okay, so we have what we can do before getting into 3D. I can show you first how to make a video, then how to upscale an image. Actually, upscale is the easiest. To upscale an image, what we can do is we're using the upscale node, and that's always on the left, upscale. And I will delete just to show you exactly how I did that. I am connecting, oops, I'm connecting this node. It's an image to an image. Now, I've added quite a bit of complexity for those joining now. Hopefully this isn't overwhelming. The core workflow is very much starting right here. Bring in your own image and connect it to another image node right here. Okay. So I'm going to upscale this image. And as you can see, Nano right now has a high load. This is on the Google side of things. I think this may be a peak moment, interestingly. So in that case, I would simply suggest for this, next 10 minutes or 30 minutes, test out one of the other models. And so here we're upscaling the image. So we're going from typically a 1K image. I put a baseline here of ×2, but we can upscale that even more. In this case, we're using a model called Clarity Upscaler. But what we can do is use the best image upscaler model out there now, which is this model right here. It is called Magnific. So Magnific is one of the best upscaler models. The quality you get from this is really impressive. You can boost that even to ×4. If you want to maintain a lot of precision on your outputs, you can go in precision mode. You do not actually need a prompt, but it does help. If you're on Magnific mode, you can click generate. So let's see what Clarity, the other model that we have, has created. And so this is definitely a higher quality result than, let's see, than this one right here. And you can already see that it's a lot grainier than that other image that I just showed. But I would still say that right here, Magnific is definitely the best. Okay, so we have our upscaled images. These are ready to export. You can put these on boards. You can change the aspect ratio with one of the other models, and you can simply download it and bring it onto your desktop. You can also now create a video from this. And so what's interesting about video workflows is you can start prompting not just about prompting the subject within a scene, but now you're starting to animate it. You're starting to add actual elements of what is the camera doing? What is the action within a scene doing? And so you can start really, let's see, diving deep into, let me see if I have some examples. Actually, I don't have them just on me right now. So you can say slow pan into this image. I've added a prompt. I'm going to use CDance, which is one of my favorite models recently. I will use the V1.5 model, which is one of the latest models, and generate. These do take a bit longer than image generation models. However, the results are always super interesting, not always perfect. So it is, again, a creative process. You can compare that to Kling. The Kling O1 model just came out, and you can compare. Oh, I think I didn't add a prompt. Okay. So I see there's a question, what 3D formats does it support? Let me just connect this. We're going to show all the modalities, why not? And while we are waiting, we can actually try World Labs. I'm going to do a quick test. I will caveat and say this is the slowest model we have on the platform. It usually takes them, on average, 5 minutes to process a single image and recompose a full scene. However, there's a lot more complexity in what this is doing than any of the other models that we have. Okay, I'm going to just keep that right there. Okay, so you see we have a lot of streams going from one single input. What we can do is go on, let's see, 3D. So 3D workflows right here, you can see something is up right now, is connect the image to the image input, and we can actually create a basic 3D model from this. Now, I would say the best model to use for 3D at the moment is Meshi. And you'll be able to see this takes maybe on average 2 minutes, I would say, to generate a 3D model. But what you can do from this is get a mesh output. Now, I would not say this is they are meshes. I know architects, including myself, are a bit allergic to meshes. There are many ways of post-processing them. However, you can start working with them in multiple ways. What's really good, the key use case of them is more specifically for objects, for product design, for interior elements, furniture, or simple geometry as well. And so you can also see, let me pull up. You can also have a glimpse right here into how this is a webinar we hosted. If it loads, I can give a glimpse into some 3D workflows. And so just to answer maybe briefly one of the questions, yeah, my internet's slow. To answer one of the questions, we have all 3D formats, so STL, GLB, OBJ. There's a 3DM format for Rhino. We can import Revit files as well. You can import any geometry, even from SketchUp, using Speckle specifically. We'll probably build a SketchUp integration in the coming 2 to 3 months. It's not the highest demand, at least here in Europe and in America. However, we will build it. And
eventually use that.
So this is Anna, Gabriela Loaiza from Big Architects, showing some of their 3D workflows of converting a single image actually into a 3D model. The STL file format you can export and 3D print directly with no post-processing. They even built this large model of a stadium, actually had a whole model making team, obviously put that together. So there's a lot of new applications I am discovering, but I would say the core use cases is more on the smaller, scale things. At the moment, these models are evolving constantly. Okay, let's see, this is clarity. Oh, let's see what happened. Slow orbit, it added a kid. Interesting. It's usually, you can see a 5-second video, you can extend it to be even longer, and then you can actually then upscale that image. So here we're using Kling. We've animated it. Very cold, cold building. Could have decided on something a little more tropical. But what's interesting is you can also start combining these together. So I'm using on the left the toolbar. I will go on the second one actually and use the editor. From the editor, you can actually stitch together videos. And so you can say, okay, I'm here. I want to bring these together. This is a very quick stitching tool. We're going to improve this. It's very early. But if you want to start stitching and making some of the videos I showed earlier, you can do that very easily. Okay, so this is a bit of a glimpse. I'm seeing some of the models are struggling, maybe from the provider side, maybe my internet, I'm not unsure. Usually these are much, much faster to generate. So this is a, let's say a full workflow, maybe a little complex at times. Not for me, not complex, but you can see how you can really start keeping control and choosing direction, branching, and having that visibility of every step along the way. Now, what's interesting here is that maybe this is a workflow that right here by itself that I would like to automate, that I know I do this specific workflow many times, and I would like to save it by right-clicking as a template. So you can actually save these workflows, save them right here, and you'll be able to see if you're an enterprise, you can see all of your enterprise boards. These are your personal boards, and then we have a lot of community templates that you can simply use straight out the box that anyone from the community shares. So you can very easily just pull something up and say, okay, I'm going to use this workflow. I know I want to go from a sketch of a model and then convert it into add a material to it and then convert it into, let's say, a 3D model, in this case of a furniture, of a facade module, for example. And you can obviously then export that, and you can see right here all of the export file formats to respond to one of the questions. Okay, blending two images together, adding style transfers is also a big interest. I'm seeing that's one of the questions. You can see, I think it was my browser which was loading all this time. The images had generated, so we have our tropical golden, what is it? Add golden cladding within a tropical environment. We have, where was that added? Some other model with Klein. We have the 4 options we can choose from, right? Colder, cold. Maybe we should have done the more tropical one. And then you have a 3D model. This is, I use this more to show its limitations. This works much better on the object scale versus interior scale. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you see the resolution. In this case, we could have chosen a higher poly count output. Sometimes you do not need a high poly count output. And you can choose what type of topology to have an output. So it can be quads, it can be different formats. And so you can kind of see the resolution maybe wasn't enough here, but at least you can start getting a basic 3D model that you can start putting in renders or start assembling within a scene. I would say for some geometry, it works very well. For other geometry, it does not work, especially when you're adding a lot of detail. But these models really they're always improving literally every few weeks or week. Okay, so you can create templates. You can automate, you can always access your history if you generate over an image again, and you can browse that and literally drag anything back if you've lost. If you overwrite and click generate once more to get more images. So this is in a nutshell of the core workflows behind Xigura. I'll take a few moments just to walk you through some workflows, a quick intro into prompting, that these are things that we offer as workshops to our enterprise clients. We go through how to prompt for interiors. We compare all the different models, let's say from modern buildings, talk about biases. We compare the old non-instructional models to the latest conversational models, and how prompting really has an important impact on that final result. Adding details, adding specificity, doing text to image, and these are the core use cases as explained. We go from a floor plan to a render, and we have an interior space, and then add a material. This is the same topic as the style transfer or the blending of images. We can say within the prompt, change flooring material using the second image. A very simple prompt. And it keeps the coherence input to output, and then we can see, okay, that's the result. We can use the editor to bring furniture into a scene. From here, we can place it. We can rotate it with a prompt. We can add, whatever really comes to your mind, you can do it. Now, what I really find interesting, especially within concept design stages, is going past the hyper-realistic. You can, of course, always do the hyper-realistic, even with style transfers. But what's really interesting also is within this concept design stage, could we leverage models like Nano Pro, or let's see, Magnific Style Transfer, which is one of my favorite models actually. It does really incredible style transfers and keeping the original input style. And so maybe the input was not exactly an input that I would have used, but you can see from here, you're able to get really interesting concept design images in whatever style that you like or are interested in. This is how to add materials. So we can have an input image. We can combine not just style, but also a tectonic system. Could we add this module within our interior? And so what we're doing here is we're prompting it in a way, add the unique elements from image 2 into image 1. It is a very ambiguous prompt, so it does give liberty to this model to interpret where to place these. I would say still imperfect as an output. But we can be a little more intentional about how to apply it, where to apply it, or how to add it, even, for example, as a large painting within the scene. Okay. Yeah, so these are a lot of different workflows. This is a glimpse into some of the latest Revit tests that we were doing, exporting a Revit screenshot, converting it into an image, and then rendering that image from this right here, and then actually testing out different materialities of that geometry. We can even work on the floor plan, and I will say that these are raster images. They are not lines that you can actually edit, but these models are getting incredibly good in a way to be able to, this is not the best example. There are way better examples than this. You can start changing representational style, getting axonometrics, different views, all starting from a single floor plan. So here you have a representation of that floor plan as well. And then you can start populating or getting different elements, different views, all within it. And I would say this, then export it as a 3D model. It will not be perfect, and it will still be mesh-based. What's also really interesting, and I think I'll end with this remark, so feel free to post any questions for the next, 10 to 30 minutes if things go over, of how to use the tool, or any questions you have for me at all. But you can see from that we can really start going from a single image. You might actually have a render of a project. And you might want to then abstract that render and pull it back a few steps. You might want to then create a sketch from it. You might want to then, from this image, convert it into an axonometric view, clean diagram, ready for an InDesign document or for a presentation, or a more sketchy kind of snippet aesthetics. The limitations are really as far as your imagination can go. Clearly, there are assumptions in these generations of what's behind the scene of, for example, we have no idea from this image if there was a louver in the back, and this scene might be incorrect as well. So sometimes you have to embrace or start or prompt or work around these imprecisions, but the quality is always improving. You can then, of course, convert that, let's see, with Meshi, with the same building, what the output is able to give us. So much better than the other output. I still know there are outputs that are much better, that you can get, that are much better than this. I think the poly count might be low. Let's see, Rodin. Cleaner geometry, still imperfect. This just gives you a glimpse of the level of detail that you can currently get. When there's other methods, which we're working on now, of integrating through Rhino or different tools and leveraging those architectures, software architectures to leverage, surface geometry and whatnot. You can then change views. You can do aerial views simply from a prompt. Top view drone shot of the residential building. Again, not the best prompt in this case, but we can use those to then create a full diagram, a full concept sketch. And you can add people within scenes. Hopefully this was a good glimpse into some of the workflows. And let me just give you a glimpse into some of the R&D work and some of the collaborations that we are actively interested in. So right here, what we've done, we're using SpellShape, it's a collaboration. We can go from a single text prompt into a parametric model. Now, this is not a workable solution for day-to-day, but use it as a glimpse. It's completely free to use as well, into where things can potentially go in the coming months. So can we, from a single text prompt, or go from an image to a text and text to a prompt, then convert this into an editable geometry in real time? And so you would then have your sliders. You can then edit this geometry and then make changes actually in real time. I'm seeing, usually this should have the parameters, but this is an actual editable geometry. You can then save views, and you can then export that and make different workflows. I think we've covered a healthy amount of ground. I hope you're all now graduated, and I hope you're all now AI or concept design AI experts. This is obviously the tip of the iceberg of many of the workflows. The agent is on the top right. There's a lot of things that we're launching in the platform. We would love your feedback. And I'm going to conclude just with some final statements before opening it to the Q&A. Now, all of this does require broader conversations about responsible AI, potential regulation to a certain extent of certain AI workflows. There are broader AI ethical discussions and policies that should be brought within education. It is a constant discussion between academics. And could there potentially be a certificate that certifies projects, people, or practices in the same way as LEED accreditation does? And so I would say that today, or yesterday actually, AI could be seen as a tool, but today or tomorrow, it can be seen more as a collaborative agent. Architects I do not believe will be replaced, and architects who do not engage with these tools, however, I do find will be at greater risk. And the final remark is that the architecture profession at large does need to evolve. We need to embrace deeper discussions about what values we want to instill and promote in the tools, but also how to design and be creative while keeping our agency and standard of care within the creative process. If anyone, of course, is interested in learning more about this, feel free to email us at info@xfigura.ai for any information whatsoever. For enterprise plans and pilots, for team plans, the code is actually xfigura-Malaysia, I believe, in the checkout. And academics and students all get access to a 30% discount. With that, thanks everyone for listening. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, I think we go through the Q&A. Can you open up the Q&A, Josh?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Maybe we read from the top. What 3D format does it support? Only Revit and Rhino. Is there any more 3D format that it can support?
For 3D, we have, I'm not sure if we support SketchUp ourselves, but through Speckle, any file format is hosted. Yeah.
Okay.
We're launching a full 3D editor, so there's going to be a lot of new possibilities there as well.
All right. So that's answer the third question as well. Is it Google SketchUp friendly? Can the AI workflow help resolve design detail issue based on the 3D image created?
Based on, I guess, 3D, from images. So I would not use, I would use it as a starting point of a conversation, but I would be hesitant to use these. Let me pull up.
Okay.
It's important to understand these models do not have physics understanding, so they don't come from a trained data set of actual details often. Of course, there are details within the data sets, but I would always be careful of some of the output images and the details that are produced. Some are incredibly compelling, but some are completely hallucinated. It's always important to keep that critical eye when looking at them.
But will AI improve in future for the technical drawing? Do you see there is a chance of it?
Oh, in general, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Beyond generative workflows is a different process. You can use agentic RAG systems as well. There's many use cases to improve detailing or the search of historic detailing as well. That's very much possible, of course.
Okay. All right. We go to the next question. How do we know which AI model will produce the most accurate output that we want? It does not determine it automatically based on our prompts.
So that's a super interesting question, and this is very much what I was trying to bring forward. The more inputs, the more automations we build, the less agency you might keep as a designer. And so we can automate a lot of this, and we're exploring toggles and improving the UX to make it simpler. But how simple, how automated do you guys think we should make it? And what are the implications of that oversimplification? So there is not one model that does it all. You still require the learning, the disciplinary knowledge to be a good architect and a good designer. But there are tricks. There are automations as well that you can use to produce more compelling images.
See. Okay. The next question, is it possible to create new prompt by blending two image? I think this one, to create new prompt blending two images. Yeah, I think this one you showed just now. Yep. Next one, if I have an interior space, can I input a plan and generate a scale model? Is this just done in proportion or an actual scale? Then can I use a mood image to generate a suggested new AI image? Mood image.
You can, let me open a board for you guys.
And also how to save the image generated. I think I saw the download button just now.
Oh, how to download, was that a question?
That's the next question.
Oh, I see. Okay, let me share. This is a board I will share with everyone after this call. We call it a community super board. So you can see like how to do style transfers. If anyone wants to download an image from here, you can just click right here. There's a download button. You can also access that if you want to enlarge the image right next to it. There'll be a download button on the top. Or if you want to see your gallery of images from this board or from all of your boards, you can also just click here and download.
Okay.
For the question before about generating scaled, let's see. Not sure if I have that. Yeah, I don't have that on me right now, but you can use a floor plan, generate a model. However, that model will not be similar detail. It will not be surface-based like you would have a SketchUp model. So it will not be to scale because these models don't have a physics understanding. You can't, for example, from an image like, let's say you have an image like this right here, you can't say improve. You can try to say change the number of windows within this from 20 to 9. That level of precision can sometimes be challenging. Or dimensioning. It's very difficult to prompt a dimension because these don't have a dimensional understanding of space. It's more based on hundreds of thousands of past images.
Does it work based on proportions, ratio?
Proportions work very well. It's very much a prompting game, so you can there's many ways around prompting and adding scale, but you have to be flexible, like from that dimensional mindset.
Okay. Okay, we go to the next question. How does the credit system work? How does the credit system in the subscription work?
Oh, of course.
I can see you got like 29,000. I just registered, I got 400 only.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is our office. The team has uses a lot of credits. Every office as well. We go from the enterprise plans go from 5,000 to 300,000 more credits depending on the size. And that's a monthly credit use. So you can see on every model right here on the right hand side, you see one, or when you select the model, like Flux 2 Klein is 2 credits. Some models are 1 credit, some video models are 3. It does vary for provider. And so when you do get a plan, you will start typically for the base plan at 400 credits, and that refreshes every month. If you do run out of the credits, you can top up with it on the bottom of the pricing page. There's like a top up area as well.
Do they carry forward the credit, unused credit?
Credits expire every month.
I see.
So, but you can get a lower plan and you can top up. There's multiple ways around.
Okay, understood. All right, next question. What is the recommendation on using a canvas? Is it per project, per canvas? Is there a limitation or limited parameter to be mindful of the canvas? Is it infinite? So what is a good practice to keep healthy workflow size? Are
Yeah,
they
this is really great. Oh, minimum hardware. Yeah, I see that.
minimal hardware? Yeah.
So none of this runs on your local computer, so it's very light, actually. The biggest requirement is mainly a robust web, internet connection. We're still processing quite a bit of data, so you can see this page is using 500 megabytes. It's like running a Zoom call equivalent. So, but that's as far as the GPU or hardware requirements goes. It's having a good enough computer to run a website with graphics. In terms of best practice, what we suggest is you can share boards. We do see complexity. Some boards get really huge with lots of workflows. I wouldn't suggest them to go, beyond the 200 nodes. You can, of course, but it helps to keep it per project. Everyone can keep, if you're in an office context, imagine you'll have multiple people, each one working on their own boards, and you can share that board with one another. Same as you would a mural board. The board for these, you can keep, you can kind of keep going. And if you get lost, you can click on this button right here to centralize it. Or if you prefer the white, you can go on the white format. It's not truly infinite, but it's as large as you probably need. But I wouldn't suggest collaborating on super like massive boards. This will certainly slow these things down just a little bit.
Understood. Can technical drawing? I think this one answered before. We jump to next one by Norina. After sketching, is it possible to scan and generate the design into 3D?
I love that. Yeah. What we're seeing is an awesome new behavioral shift from this is okay. We're using this as the base, but you can flip the models. You can literally click right here and flip it. Use this as the here. Use this as the image. Use this as a style, so you can flip the discussion. But what's interesting is people are 3D modeling even a little less now. The detail you need to model is to get a compelling image in a competition. It's a little more forgiving, and you can start iterating, moving a little faster without all of the options, all the iterations. Now, the same idea applies for the sketch. We're seeing a greater use nowadays with, partners bring in their sketch. We're going to make it fully iPad compatible in time, where you'll be able to sketch directly on the canvas. You can sketch, of course, now, but it's you can add all your shapes and all of the, all the fun stuff and text and highlights and all that. But we're seeing some awesome uses of converting a single sketch into an image.
Okay. All right, we jump to the next question. I think this one you have shown. Maybe you can show again. I know if it's possible to apply texture from the reference image only to certain parts of the model instead of the entire model.
Yeah, the best way to do that, I would say, is maybe this is an interesting example. It was it's a little tangential, but what we did was, like, this was our image, and we brought in silhouette people, or we generated silhouette people, so you don't have copyright issues or like issues of downloading or buying silhouette people. And so you have prompted to have white backgrounds. And then within the editor, you can remove backgrounds, or you could apply a texture, put an arrow and say, you know, bring in your texture, put an arrow and say, change this texture here, or like draw a red region here. And so from that, you can then add all these people, remove the background, and composite it together. So the same applies to what you're describing, which is right here. We can, let's say we have that scene from before. I want to just edit one region, and you can just, like in Paint in Photoshop, in Paint the region and say, and then prompt in the next node and say, what is it? Add people in the red region, change just that. So you have a lot of control. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry, we jump to the next question. Does the monthly subscription fee cover all the AI plugin in the list shown?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to worry about anything, any other models, many subscriptions. There's no hidden fees. It's all, you have access to every model, all with the same quality of export as the other providers. So Flux and every other model. And you have the Rhino integration if anyone is curious. All you have to do is go on Rhino 8, and you can go on the command line and type in, what is it, plugins? No, I can't even remember. I think plugins. And then you type in Xfigura, so you can download it from the, oh no, sorry. You go on the command line and you type package manager. That's what it is. In package manager, you're just downloading Xfigura. And that's accessible to anyone who wants to use it.
Okay, all right. So we jump to the next question. How about the privacy of this workflow and output? And are they stored in Figura platform or somewhere else? Can it be retrieved?
We take privacy as importantly as stability of the platform. They're pretty much our two main pillars. Data security and stability run hand in hand. We have custom agreements with third party with almost all of our model providers, which means we don't retrain your data. You have ownership over your data, and there's no IP concerns. This is mostly available for our enterprise clients. It depends on what tier you're on. So we have custom agreements that we can share, of course. But we do take privacy super seriously. The boards are, stored as they have to be on Amazon AWS servers, which are fully SOC 2 compliant. So there's no issues also from that side.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay, that's very clear. We jump to next one. Wish to check, since it's a linked mesh system, if we change the first original base image, will all the linked thread stream automatically adjust as custom to the base image?
So it's a great question. We've certainly discussed this internally. Imagine if I change this input image, because it is credit based, and often the credits, if Google has a certain credit cost or another model has a credit cost, it would be an unfair assumption to automate that for the user. And so we're trying to keep the control on the user side. Maybe I'll move this, and I'll show you. If I select multiple nodes, all you have to do is right here on the bottom, you can click generate, run all. I typically don't suggest to do this because I like to promote control. So imagine you have 2 nodes, or you have 3, or you have 4, or multiple. Maybe this is your workflow. You can just click generate, or if this, maybe right here, you might want to run like a few together or something, or like this. You can say generate, and you'll see the credit associated with all of the generations.
Okay. So that's answered that question. Next one, Josephine. For academic, is there a code for discount for academician?
Yeah, for any academics, all we need to do is verify your academic email. So you can email us just saying, I would like to have access to the academic discount, and you can simply email info@xfigura.ai, and I posted a response to that question. I typed it in. So just feel free to email us, and we can share that with you.
All right.
For June. June has been an awesome collaborator of ours as part of our creative partnership program. So she's a great resource, for you all in Malaysia.
Okay. How to remain consistency in generating image detailing?
It's a great question. There's two ways I would mainly suggest. Of course, keeping consistency and prompting. But the other two are controlling. I'm still sharing. There's a value which is called the seed value. So it is not available, strangely, for the Google models. The seed value, consider it like a variation. If you keep the seed value for 2 or 3 different images, that can ensure some form of consistency between those different images. Another way, which is common, which is possibly, evolving over time, is using a LoRa training. So you can actually drag and drop your 20 to 50 images and train your own custom model. This will keep consistency with your style or your sketch aesthetic or your hyper-realistic images of facades of projects you've done. And then you can use that on one of the models. So you would always pair, let's say, this is with the Flux model right here. It's paired with the Flux model. This is a little more advanced, but there are certainly ways to keep consistency.
All right. Jump to the next one. Is there a chat version with AI during the generation stage like ChatGPT? I believe this one is the agent. Am I right, Josh?
Yeah, you can use the agent this weekend. We'll get a big update. So you'll hear, already you're able to click on a sample or prompt it and get a workflow from it. You can also get model suggestions, animate things. In this case, it was a simple one to generate futuristic airport terminal. So that created the workflow, and you can generate and run them all. You can also use right here, very briefly, if you want to just have the conversational mode like you would ChatGPT, you can simply activate that. We will be launching Gemini and a bunch of the other language models. So you'll have a lot of new functionalities within the platform.
Oh, wow. Wow, wow. Nice. Nice.
So you can use the LLM right within here. Oh, so this actually, in this case, it's enhancing your prompt, but you can have a full conversation within that as well.
Oh, wow, great. So you don't have to open up ChatGPT on the background, like another tab for it. You can just ask the question here. Okay, great, great. Right, next question. How to get trial version of Figura? Right. I think this one was
Very simple. Yeah, so you can go to the home page, you can click get started, and you're good to go. You add your Gmail or any email, you log in for free, and you get 25 free credits, and you can share boards, you can access boards, and there's a bunch of models that are actually free, so language models specifically, and you can just get up and run.
all right. The next question, there is no prompt for sign in. I'm not sure about this. What the question is.
You can click here or here. Maybe I'm not sure.
Oh yes, for the. Okay. We jump back to question. Can you share as academician how you integrate AI into the studio design teaching? What if students become too reliant on AI to do the work for them?
Same as
We just hosted a very interesting symposium. It's a mini symposium. We had six educators. Let's see if I can pull up the images. 6 educators from 6 universities on how they taught and use Xfigura within the classroom. I'm very interested on a personal level. My wife is also an academic in architecture, teaches architecture, and yeah, so there's a lot of deep discussions. There's obviously the way I teach AI and architecture is mainly process as projects. I'm less interested in the final render. I'm more interested in your critical thinking, your thought, the discussions you bring to the table. And that's very much the thesis of Xfigura. So how can you unpack that creative process and come to a presentation and be able to defend it as well, or defend your agency and how much inputs and outputs the AI model had. So there's multiple ways. We very often give academic workshops and build templates for you guys. So happy to dive deeper if that's of interest, of course.
And Josh, I continue from this question. How does the international, for example, AA and Bartlett, perceive AI process? Do they accept it?
It's very subjective, of course. There's professors from all angles. Clearly, Patrick Schumacher is from Zaha, who teaches, leads the DRL program, is very much endorsing, is in many of our meetings. But you'll have other professors. Every school has a healthy mix. The Bartlett is definitely more progressive in terms of technology. In terms of, with the B Pro program, there's some AI units there as well. But even in the US, there's a huge variety from maybe a little more traditional schools to maybe more progressive. I've been to Carnegie Mellon, also Harvard, MIT. There's a big, actually there's a huge divide between different institutions, but there's equally a huge interest and curiosity from critical perspectives to ethics, you name it.
All right. But I think future will have it will be more advanced, and I think it will be forced to accept. Like people will start to accept it, especially worldwide.
I don't know how much of a choice there is, to be very honest.
Mm.
If you don't, even the future of education, like I think there's some broader discussions. Does an architecture degree need to be 5 years? Students often ask, in light of all the change and in light of, the future of me entering into the job profession, which potentially because of competitiveness needs to invest more heavily into AI. What does that, where does that put me?
Yeah.
And
I think now we are at the point of transitions, and education really need to keep up with what happened in the industry. Okay, we jump to the next question. After all the design images, client like it, and how you translate into architecture drawing, can it match the proportion space detailing and based on the design? I believe this you have shown this. Do you want to show more?
I think this is probably clear by now.
Yep. Okay. So we jump to the next question. Do you see the future where the AI tools won't be credit-based in the future? Will it be free in the future?
There's an interesting discussion about open source and closed source models in terms of quality. Now, a few months ago already, you could discuss potential inequalities of these tools inequalities likely from a cost perspective. But the open source models now are almost equally, at times, even better than closed source models like the OpenAI models, for example. So it very much, like, the cutting edge is actually at times accessible for everyone. What I think is a huge problem still is what data those models are trained on. It tends to lean on being very Western centric. I think there's a lot of effort at a government level that should be put into embedding into local AI models culture, traditions, best practices, values, morals. If you look at a company like Anthropic, the company behind Claude Code, they've defined what they call the Constitution. It's called the Claude Constitution. It's essentially a set of morals and values that help define how every answer is given. This is from supporting that from the answering perspective, but that still, it doesn't preclude any of the biases within the training set within that foundational model.
Understood. So this is who actually organizes the cloud?
Well, it's like a competitor to OpenAI. They're one of the biggest large language model providers. Anthropic, Grok, OpenAI, it's one of the big ones. I use it every day. Claude Code, specifically.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Anyone's curious, this is how you run it. This is a version of it. You can run it in terminal and just ask it whatever. You can connect agents, all of your tools. I'm going way past the subject of this talk, but yeah, this is bringing new automations from a productivity level that are completely unparalleled for what we had a few months ago already.
Okay. Oh, great to know. Great to know. Okay, we jump to next question. If our office subscribe, how many seats are permissible? How do we control who can access the app's control credit?
Every enterprise who joins, we don't work on a seat basis. Depending on the plan, it's usually on unlimited, and so we can adapt that to any internal needs. You have a full dashboard of controls. There's different mechanisms. We are fully enterprise ready.
Okay, understood. The last question before we take break 10 minutes. I understand that this platform is web-based. What the maximum capacity each project folder can handle? Is there, or will there be an independent apps for it?
I'm not sure exact scope of the question, but everyone essentially within an enterprise, for example, would have their own account. Think of it as a Miro board. And so you can have as many boards as you want. You can assign these to projects, or you can actually assign these to live architecture projects as well.
So there's no limits for these boards?
What's that?
There's no limits how many bots we can create?
On an enterprise level, there are no limits.
Okay.
From a professional pro level, there are also, I believe, no limits. I think for the basic, technically it's 10, or and then for pro, it's like an unlimited amount of boards.
Okay, understood. All right. I think that's the end of the Q&A. Josh, it's an honor to have you here. I've been looking at your tutorial on YouTube like last 2 months, and seeing you today, I feel really great and inspiring to have you here. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have a 10 minutes break, and please be back at 11:10 for June. Architect.
Thanks, Fira. Before we have a break, I just would like to extend very sincere appreciation to George again once more for joining us in this session. I am actually a creative partner with Xfigura since last year, and George has been really actively shaping the conversation around AI and architectural practice through his work and all those things. And if architects, if you guys are looking outside of many different tools of whether open source models, ComfyUI, or anything that you have heard of, but I can be very sure that Xfigura's research and their teaching in the architectural creative workflows is very outstanding. And this is what actually we are looking for, because we don't want to search around with tools and what's outside in the whole world, that we want to gather thousands of tools, more than like working on, rather than to do a really good design. Actually, we want to put a lot of our focus on designing and not going too much into learning the technical side of any AI skill. So thank you so much. Our privilege at PAM to have you, George, to share your insight and experience today with the architects in the whole Malaysia today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, June. Likewise, all of this, you've also been an inspiration for us in Xfigura, and seeing how you've opened up a lot of new possibilities and your workflows and use cases. So great to have you on the team.
Yeah, great too. I mean, we'll be having a lot of collaborations in the future with you, George, and yeah, let's see what actually, if I can become a bridge between the Malaysian architects and Xfigura, so let's do something. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So let's take a break for 10 minutes. We'll be back at 11:12. Right, see you guys. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are now moving to session 2. Architect June Chow. The topic is AI as a cognitive design partner. June will demonstrate how AI can move beyond being just a tool and become a thinking collaborator in the design process. Okay, Architect June, passing over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kira. Without wasting all of our time, I will jump straight into my slides. I hope you're ready, because we are diving into the next session a little bit more advanced than the first George session. And today in the agenda, we are going to train a small size LoRa as something like so-called, we call it a design DNA. And this is our agenda. We still have like before 1 p.m., around 1.5 hours before we can have a little bit more about questions and answers. So I will divide it into 5 parts. The 6 actually is just some of the extra workshops if you are interested in learning more about generative AI. The first one, I will explain a little bit more about the Gene AI basics. What is it about, and how is it reshaping the design world in a very quick 5-minute session. And after that, we jump into the second one, which is called the Create Design Narratives. We are not only looking at prompting for an image, but now we are moving into design narratives. And the next one, we will train a LoRa, a customized design DNA, your branding design, we call it. And we will jump after that into how to craft perfect prompts, because everyone is actually asking around, why am I not prompting good? How to actually make my prompts consistent? Moving on with images that can have more controls for ideas, images, and videos. And after that, I will have something like a quick demo about what actually is about Google AI Studio and Notebook LM, which is, we call it a smart design and research assistant nowadays. It's very important to take note on number 5 because it has been just being strongly recommended among designers. The basics. So the first thing I would like to bring up this disclaimer, which actually what we all talk about in this session about generative AI is all about early stage conceptual design and ideation. It is a catalyst for rapid exploration of ideas well before formal drawings or documentation. So please make it clear that take note, heads up about all this generative AI, whether you are trying to generate images, videos, storyboards, narratives, they are all for us to think about ideas and bring these ideas into the next stage in your design development. So think of AI broadens how we iterate and imagine new possibilities in design rather than a replacement of for a unique human creativity and judgment at the heart of architecture. Our entire digital world is powered by AI nowadays. When you go to Google, you type something on the search engine, it will come up with an AI mode telling you, okay, summarizing things that telling you, okay, if you are looking for interior design in Singapore, sometimes you come up with, in the older days, maybe last year, you still have something like your websites coming out on a list, but today you will have Gemini at the first place to tell you what actually you are searching for. So it will give you a summarize on something that you were looking for, and then it will give you some rough ideas, and also recommendation systems on if you click on images. This is also powered by AI nowadays. And also, if you are asking a question in Google, just ask like, what are the famous interior design firms in USA, let's say, and AI chat assistants are here to list out the things for you, to have a glance of what's actually going on in the internet. And of course, since 2022, I would say the rise of the popular use of AI, and we are looking at I think these are the things we already know, so I'm going to just show you quick. So we use that for creative writing, for image generation, image editing, using intelligent retouching, style transfer. Even now you can integrate AI into your Photoshop. Video generation and code generation, so-called vibe coding. And also you can use AI to compose music, creating original soundtracks that there is no copyright that can go after you after if it's an AI generated music piece. But what actually happens from now on, this year, 2026, we are already looking into using our natural language to gather new insights. And we are also using natural language today on Google AI Studio, or maybe some of the other agents, Manus, Minimax, we are building, or vibe coding. So we create tools like, for example, something like that, a tool which can iterate design concepts. And also we use natural language. We iterate on design concepts. We bring designs to life.
This is an image I generated earlier. Now, with Nano Banana 2, it seems that we have better control. Simply tell Nano Banana 2 to show the subject from another angle, and use them in the same video using Veo 3.1. You can even change the time of day and generate a time-lapse video. The prompt is time-lapse, or show the building from a different angle. Let's go on a house tour. Hey, it's me again. Don't click generate video and pray for the perfect shot. Work on usable images first. Have you tried Nano Banana 2 yet? Stay tuned for my next AI for Architects class, co-instructed with Tianyu. See you.
And I hope this is something that the property agents are looking for. Maybe they will look for you one day to make a house tour for them. And someone would tell me that I'm a really busy designer architect and I'm new to AI, and just tell me which AI tool I should use. So I just summarize this, and you can take a look at roughly what would you need in this era. Even starting from this year, we are looking so much into at least having a large language model as an AI assistant to help us on chatting and discussing on daily topics. And the next one, of course, today's highlight is to use Xfigura as your image generator, workflow designing platform, and AI tools and agents. Next one I would like to show you today, which is called the Google AI Studio, where you can build an app like just now what I've demonstrated, and also presentation skills using Notebook LM. So how to create a design narrative with large language models. This is one study case that out of many, I would say, that I will show you today, but the concept, the process is always the same. So, for example, if you have a brief from your client or something like a designed requirement written in a piece of paper, or some documents given to you, that you have that in mind, gathered the information from your brief. And today, if you have a large language model like, for example, Gemini or ChatGPT, you can bring the brief to your ChatGPT and just upload it. And when you upload it, you ask it to try to extract the brief into words or text, or list it out in something, and to bring it to try to start to brainstorm ideas with your large language model. So it would try to put everything into order, at least to organize that. And then the next step is to bring it into concepts, but this will need some of your skills, how to bring it out to generate concepts. And after the concepts, you will try to build visuals in Xfigura or Midjourney, let's say, with prompting. So from the concept to visual, you need to create prompts, okay? And then from visuals that you have got something like really good results on Xfigura and image that you want to bring it into a 3D, you can convert it into a 3D, but you can see that sometimes if it's not a very kind of like a more simple massing object, it will be challenging to create a 3D. But the technology is improving every day. So, but if you have a 3D already feeling like you are satisfied with the massing and you want to bring back the 3D, the raw 3D back to visual to enhance it, you can do that. And I'm going to show you just a mock-up project here, what you can do when you have a client brief like this. So you can use the large language model to generate questions and not always answers. Because when you ask for like, give me these answers, give me something like information about this project, yes, you can do that. But have you thought of asking the language model to try to ask you questions of what actually it perceives from kind of like images that you have input to the language model? Okay, in this case, I will go into the client brief. So if you have an example like that, to propose a compact market square next to Singapore's Jurong MRT with shaded seating and F&B kiosks in Singapore, something like that, in a very brief way. Or you have a bundle of information, you can also upload them. So AI can help us to ask better questions. So what are they? Sometimes you ask the AI to help you to ask about the context of your project, site, climate, floats, your goals, what are the performances, functions that you want to have, and character. Character is not about people, but it's about the mood of the place, materiality, and user experience, let's say. So what would you do? If you have Gemini, you can go to just Gemini, open up, and where should we start? Okay, first you have this interface where you can see there's a text box you can type, you can start to type and ask. But I would strongly recommend that you have something like a paid subscription to Gemini if you want to use Gemini. Like we call it the minimum subscription is Plus, and you can also go for Pro and Ultra if you want to. And always switch to the thinking mode, so it will not answer you quickly without really thinking, I would say. You go to the thinking mode, so it would solve some more complex problems for you, like doing real research on the internet before answering you. Let's say we have this. We switch it into thinking mode. And we start with this. You are an architect in Singapore, or you can say, it doesn't matter whether you are in Singapore or not, because you are trying to give the language model something like a context, okay? So given this brief, create a compact market square next to the MRT entrance at Jurong with F&B kiosk sitting car path to the bus stop. And you give at least some instructions. Let's say here you have number one, list 8 to 12 questions grouped by context, goals, character, if you have it in mind. And then the second thing is to turn them into a kick-off checklist with check boxes. This is for you because that sometimes you don't know where to start. So you need something like a checklist for yourself, brainstorm on things. And then the third one, to output it as a clean table so that you can have a really neat table to work on. And this is an example from Gemini, who will generate this checklist for you. So at least you will have a project overview. It will try to find more information at that place for you to understand what actually it is. The objective will be something like the language model will try to elaborate further for you. And also maybe if you have a client intent by inputting that beforehand, or it will try to generate some more information for you, okay? So the next second one is the site context, like the surroundings, constraints, guidelines. Third, sorry, where's the third one? Oh, I'm sorry, but never mind. So there's one, the next one, the character and the identity. What is the theme? Material palette, lighting strategy. These are suggestions from the language model, okay? And also, maybe you want to take a look at the stakeholders and roles. And with that answer, you can jump into the next one if you want to look at the site forces. Let's say in this example, massing and micro-urban moves. So the next prompt to your large language model is to say, summarize the climate and orientation implications for a small plaza in Jurong, and propose 5 massing micro-urban moves that respond to the sun, wind, rain, and flows. Each move, I set it to like to generate a one-liner, which you don't want to be overwhelmed with too many information. Like you don't want Gemini to generate essays for you. And sometimes you get this kind of results, and it will categorize very good into climate and orientation into, you can see it, just one liner for each category, like rain, wind, thermal comfort, and flow, okay? And for the massing, micro-urban moves, also you get one-liners, okay? The offset, etc., etc. And large language models like Gemini, I'm not only talking about Gemini. Of course, there are other language models that can be very good in imagining a journey, but I would strongly recommend Gemini because Gemini is supported and backed up by Google, the metadata of the geospatial information that you will need to always refer back to Google Maps to propose a narrative for you. So this is the strength of Gemini. So the next prompt actually I gave it to Gemini is to draft a 6-bit narrative from MRT exit. Actually, I want to imagine that I walk from the MRT exit going out to the bus link. And you can see that going to the plaza, the kiosk, going through the kiosk on the way to a bus link, and then also an evening vibe and closing time. So for each beat, include emotion, material, light, again, one sentence photo prompt. So this is the result I got, an experiential narrative. So from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can see the beat comes from where and then go into what, going into which, from one point to one point. So on the first beat from the exit, you can see the emotion is there, like what is it, like relief after travel, this is a user experience. And then how do you want to, in the architect's eyes, that what kind of material and light do you want to imagine, and the language model can help you to define all these things. And then where's this thing going? It is going into a one sentence photo prompt. So this is the prompt, the part that you would like to bring in to your image generation model and to generate the images. So these are the mood board images I'm talking about, right? So these are the things actually you get it in one shot, 6 prompts at least. And then look at the keywords. So don't just prompt and generate and bring it to the image models, but try to extract the keywords. As you can see, some of the keywords actually are quite interesting for you to further develop. In this case, let's say like you want to look at, what is it actual plaza arrival? It's that kind of curiosity, openness. And then when you go to the link to the bus stop, this is the flow and continuity. These are the things, these are the words actually are very well understood by the AI model. It can convert these words very good into images. So this is what actually would like you to take to keep an eye on and attention on all these interesting keywords. Okay, And then if you want to look at close-ups, let's say like, okay, I want to generate some of the images like getting closer to the environment that you are looking for, that you want to design. You can even come up with a style kit. Maybe you want to look at some color palettes with hex codes. So you don't need to go for your palette to pick it on your own manually. It can help you to define the context of the Jurong market square, pick up, if you have something like the keywords, again, the keywords, tropical, transit links, it will try to get some of the hex codes for you. And for example, as you can see, some of them are warm sandstone base for the pavements, bamboo bronze, muted jade greens, a little bit related to the tropical context. And then also you want to maybe ask, I mean, this is already generated right here, but you can always ask to refine it. Like I want more things about the textures like timber slats, terrazzo, tensile fabric, or even lighting, point of view, eye level of human scale, and other keywords. And then you bring these keywords, I mean, just now you have prompted some one-liners. You can bring all this into your image generation model. You can also generate this in Gemini itself or ChatGPT if you are using that. In this case, actually, what I'm showing here is another AI platform, which is called BVAI, but it doesn't matter. You can also do that totally on Xfigura. It's the same node-based workflow platform. And I just snapshotted from my VV. So just to show you that I'm bringing the prompt into prompt node, the box, and then to generate mood board images using different models. Like in this case, we have Nano Banana and Flux Pro, and another one, Higgs field image. And if you want a controlled iteration using a reference guided, let's say you have something like previously something like this, which actually you feel that no, this is maybe not my style, okay, or my render style. You can have something like a reference file of your preferred style image, input that and link it. Of course, it works the same in Xfigura. Just connect it into your image model. You can try to pick up some of the styles. In this case, you can look at the second example. If you have something like the link, I think this is the corridor. And if you choose something like a very, a little bit more abstract, illustrative way of how you want to present your perspective, you can link that into it, and what actually the result will come up with something will pick up maybe the angle, position of the camera, and also a little bit of the illustrative elements. Okay, and then in Midjourney, if you're using Midjourney, you can also use your reference image as using it in this category, image prompt, and or style reference. Okay. And if you want to keep the intent intact, better come to pick your reference keywords. Just now that you already generated, right? And now you want to narrow down. You want to keep consistency. So these are the keywords you want to pick it out, and always use that for experimentation. This is how one of the ways actually to generate things like not going far from the Jurong MRT. And then also to fix your camera language. If you don't really know, if you're not a professional photographer, you can always cast again what are the common camera language that people will use for architectural perspectives. And you can also say it in the list or your prompt, you say that no mirror glass, no what, if you don't want people, then say no people, no cars, all right? And always add context words. Sometimes you want to add back this, like where is it, tropical, rain, maintenance, oh, I don't know what this word means, transit link, of course. Just one moment. I think I'm lagging. I'm coming back a bit. Allow me to just stop sharing for a while. And I will go back. Okay. Some technical difficulties. So I think you are looking at my full screen again. If not, please tell me.
Yep, all good.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So come back to just to recap. Large language models can deliver all this to us if we are creative enough. Okay, tangible outputs like you want to kick off with your checklist. You want to have a concept one pager to face your client in next quick meeting, right? And also to design a journey about yourself, like walking, imagining yourself walking in that project site. Also to design a style kit, pick up some colors and moods for your next design development. And of course, images and style control, like what I've demonstrated just now. Of course, bring your images into videos, you can generate there. And thesis studies, you can also do that. Presentation slides, I will show you after this, and ROI charts. Okay, so if you are ready, because we will pick up questions at the end of this, my session. So I will bring you to train Alora today. We will make a small one because it's kind of like sometimes it would take you hours to at least make Alora really working for your workflow or for your design style. So pay attention to this. This is a little bit advanced, but it's not really complicated. So everyone is talking about what is a LoRa. LoRa is called low rank adaptation. We don't need to know what is a low rank adaptation. We just need to know it is a method to fine tune large AI models for specific tasks. Imagine that you have a big ChatGPT outside. It's a big brain, right? It's so huge, and it's so good, but it doesn't know where to scale down specific information for your use. So that's why we are pulling out something like a specific information from the huge brain to do something for us. So it's to teach the AI my design language. If you have a firm, you have a lot of like your personal style, like let's say, for example, big, they have already something that it's very signature to them. So they want to train a LoRa. They do that. Okay. So how is LoRa used for the visual generative AI? And you look at these three pictures here. First, we make a LoRa for image synthesis, style transfer, or generating specific characters and styles in a generic way, I tell you, right? And these three pictures actually, like the first one, character LoRa, we are not going into that because this is like, if you want to design you yourself to make a movie, you do that, right? But we are looking into style LoRas, we call it style, okay? So this is one, the big thing for architects. And also the next one is object or concept LoRas, which actually you can train something like a furniture piece or something like a sculptural thing, an installation that you want to put in the interior space. Or concept LoRas are also for interior design. So you go for that. So these two style and object LoRas is what actually we are focusing on. This is what actually I want to show you. That LoRa has more control if you're looking into consistency. That's why you don't want to be random. You don't want to be like keep on generating random images. So this is why we look for LoRas. And what I have here is, again, this is in VV. And again, the node-based infinite canvas workflow. I have I have separated this into, I've actually created 4 groups of image generation workflow. So it's a very simple one. It's not complicated. So this is set 1, set 2, set 3, and set 4. I just want you to know that if you have an image generation model here, and you have a prompt node, and the very simple text to image process that you do usually is prompt text to image, right? So the first example, I'm going to just put a prompt here. So the prompt, I have actually enlarged it for you to see. I want to prompt for a gallery building, origami inspired folded facade panels, sharp angular geometry, aluminum finish, sculptural effect, bright daylight and shadows, right? So it's very simple prompt. Without anything, so just don't worry about this stuff here. With only a prompt, you get something, an image, which actually I don't know whether it's good or not, right? So it's very sharp, angular, pointing out in gallery. I don't know what that is. But if you have a LoRa, you trained the LoRa, okay, I'll tell you what later on what actually is inside that LoRa, okay? So this is the first thing actually. If I have a prompt with a LoRa, I have a more controlled, I would say, more controlled output with something actually is similar to what I've trained inside my LoRa, okay? Actually, it's a building, it's a mid-rise building with this kind of facade building envelope design, okay? And the next one, if you have a prompt and a LoRa, but you have an input image of an existing building. So in this case, you put it here and you connect your input image to your model, your image generation model. So it will try to bring your existing facade into an iterated or ideated way based on your LoRa, right? You can, as you can see, something has changed, but it still does not run out so much physically or on the original scale. That you have to design that you can be more creative using that with a LoRa and an input image. And the fourth one actually is a little bit more advanced, that you can actually have added something here like scalable node. We call it like it's a strength node. Okay, so you keep adding strength from it, let's say from 0 to 1. So if you put on more strength, it will start to the amplitude will raise, and then you can see something like more, you know, it's like more protruding or less, you know, somewhere here and there, or more shadings. So the facade iteration will change according to your strength, what you have inputted in. Okay, so how to train a LoRa? In a very simple way, in a nutshell, you just need to have something like, first thing, a data set. So it is a set of some data, in this case, images. Okay, you can find some images that you want to train. In this case, I will show you a facade, like just now, that we want to be more creative, think of some creative ways how to create a facade. Okay, for example, now you want to go to Pinterest and you want to look for some images that has that kind of design language that you intended to explore. Okay, so you can find on Pinterest. You can also use your own renders. If you already have so many renders, which actually your style is so good, you know, yet you want to train it further, yes, go on. Or your sketches. So it does not limit to only finding images. But if you are a good hand sketcher, you have so many thousands of sketches which you think is really good, so use them to train, okay? Or you can also generate them from any other programs, platforms like Midjourney, okay? So again, photos, images, and sketches can become your data set, all right? And the next one is called the process. The second step is called captioning. Captioning means to name the pictures, the images, or to describe what is inside your image. Okay, the first thing you will need to do is to name your LoRa. Give it a name. Okay, what kind of name? Let's see next. And describe the images. How do you describe it one by one? You can describe your images with your own language. It doesn't matter if you are good in describing. If not, use an LLM. Okay, have it like Xfigura just now. You can even upload the image and try to describe it using the machine. And then what is a trigger word? A trigger word means something like you want to name the LoRa and use the LoRa's name to trigger the AI model to pick your mini library and use your mini library to elaborate or to convert images that has your style. So this is what we call the trigger word, okay? And then the next one, if you have all this done for the captioning, you go to the third stage, which is called train, okay? The train, you can do this training on Xfigura. So today's session is to make your life easier. You don't have to look everywhere for where to do this, where to train things, okay? And the type actually we're training, you don't have to worry about the names, but the very popular ones, we call it the flux LoRa. You just need to remember the name. Okay, and you can also, if some of you, I know some of you are also seasoned AI players, you can also train your LoRa on a website called Civet AI and also File AI. All right, so this is just only for your information. And then after you have trained it, it's ready for you. You can test it again on Xfigura. So just bring up your LoRa, but again, if you have your LoRa name is called June, let's say, okay, you still need to connect into some of these flux models because the model actually will respond and understand your LoRa. So we have to pick a specific flux model for that. So in this case, there are two. One is called the flux depth LoRa, and the other one is called flux context LoRa. So roughly the same. And after that, you get your beautiful images. You can move on into motion, animate them. So how do I use my LoRa? Very easy in Xfigura. This is the interface on Xfigura canvas again. And you can just plug it to your AI workflow like that, if you have that image generation node, right? And then once you have successfully trained your LoRa model, it will appear in your Xfigura here. Actually, when you click on this box here, the right side, you will see something like a big box with some of the settings here. As you can see, like you have to pick the right model, which is called the flux depth LoRa. It's always when you can click on this one, the second button here, which all the models will come out. So please click the matching model, flux depth LoRa. And then don't worry about the guidance scale yet because this is quite optimal. They usually like to set the optimal settings for you. And then image quality, of course, you can choose like high, medium, low, but I always choose high in that case, or image ratio if you like to have it like box, square, vertical, horizontal, okay? So some of the in-house styles are already made by the Xfigura team for you to explore, but your trained LoRa will appear here. So this is your style, okay? This is my my LoRa. I have named it Mod Facade, okay? And then you can also find something like a custom LoRa if it's your friend or your team members or any other people has developed a LoRa which you see is quite good that you want to use. Some of them have they have uploaded in some of the websites. You can use the URL, just bring the URL into here, okay? Or to even like if you have already your LoRa on Xfigura on any other platforms, you can always save as a file and use it again. So this is your asset, okay? And you can share it to your team. And then on Xfigura, you can always upload your LoRa again on the same platform. So next. And how to prompt with your LoRa again, this is just for you to to revise a little bit what we have been talking about. Always, the tip for you is always to keep prompts short if you have already a LoRa. Okay, so don't generate 1,000 words. For example, in this case, I have the gallery building. This is the prompt. I have the gallery building, origami inspired imported facade panels, sharp aluminum. Okay, right, very short. But I already named my LoRa as this, so I name it as mode facade. So I give it a name. A name has to be a little bit special. Okay, so don't use generic names. You have it something like a special name. Let's say you can say XX facade. Use specific names. All right, so that you can trigger the AI model to search for, oh, this is, yeah, that is the specific thing, the unique word actually this user is using his style or her style. So pick a name which actually is really special. And in this case, for every prompt, you need to put back your LoRa name into that to trigger the model. Okay, remember that, to trigger it. And so for you to compare, again, I think you have seen it in the previous slides. The prompt without a LoRa will be something like this. But if you have a LoRa and put your trigger word into your prompt, you will get more control. Okay, but if you have a flux context model, context means actually it will be more understanding the context. In that case, if you have this model, and with your LoRa and the trigger word, you have even more control because you are inputting your existing building envelope image into that. So it will try to work very closely to iterate your existing image into a new design. Okay, this is a very quick one just for those who use Midjourney. Mood board, especially there's something like a feature called mood board, so you want to just know what actually the differences are. So I can tell you the three most significant difference are, for mood board Midjourney, it's like kind of like you have a mood board, you also train some images actually, and then you keep it in Midjourney. It's kind of good, but for control over geometry, you want to look at LoRa's because it's excellent. That can be combined with something else. I mean, if any one of you or advanced users of ComfyUI, open source models, it's excellent to use it together for sketches and 3D wires. All right. And then for architecture specificity, it's also good for mood board, but for LoRa's, it's excellent because it can be trained on a specific architect's work, a particular era. Let's say if you want to look for colonial buildings, the specific style in the past, or a unique firm's rendering style. So Midjourney can't give you that because it still will struggle with precise technical details, okay, without heavy prompting. And the last one is local storage. Of course, just now I've mentioned, you can keep it locally. It's portable. It's small size. It's not really big. Maybe 10 to 20 megabytes only. Right? On Midjourney, you can't keep that file locally. So you must always subscribe to Midjourney or on the web app to have this running. Okay, and we'll go to the data set and captioning essentials and know what to collect and how to describe it. So case study, you want to ideate on an exterior facade like that. You want to play a lot with the faceted origami kind of style, modular, let's say. I mean, for example, in this case, you want to train a LoRa like this. And then you set your goal, right? The first thing you say, okay, I want to train a LoRa that understands a modern mid-rise facade design. Set your goals, whether it's a high-rise, low-rise, something, residential, maybe. If you want to talk about office buildings, say it. And then in this case, it's a facade design logic focusing on geometry, shadow play, modular articulation instead of decorative aesthetic. You can say that, okay? If you don't want to play too much on decorative side. And then you can ask your language model for a concept focus, say what kind of focus that you want. So these are the examples that you would like to fit it into the language model. If you want for balconies, projections, go for it. And then name a very unique primary trigger. In this case, I put it mod facade. And what actually are we gathering here? So the process, I went to the internet and look for images. Again, you can also use your own firm images, I already said, right? So it's a little bit complicated here, right? The first thing, actually, the main thing you want to look for, let's say, we want to train this LoRa with 20 images, okay? This is the minimum that you can have, at least 20 images, and up, you can go up to 70 images, right? Depends on your needs. So because this is a mock-up here, we'll do it very small. And then look at the ratio. So why do I have 9542? This is a rough rule that you want to set it for when you are training your data set. That means that I've searched for 9 images that really actually speaks for, like, that I intend to use it for explorations on my facade. So these are the 9 images that I really wanted, like roughly that, that kind of pattern. So you have the honeycomb, some are zigzag, some are triangular niches, all right? And then something you can also look for, okay, the first set, which is the main, and then the second set will be something like less, you don't want to, this is again depending on your needs. LoRa training needs practice, okay? What actually do you need most? You can put it like more, and then what actually the secondary set you can look for. Maybe in this case, the secondary set for me is a sculptural cladding. So it's a little bit more, like curvy, parametric. If you want mainly parametric, you can add more here. And the next one, actually, I look for something like shading or louvers, So that's why I have some vertical lines. I mean, like thin louvers, vertical fins, right? So this is smaller set. So that's why I have 9, 5, 4, but 2. Again, 2 because I still want to add a little bit of creativity, more expressive into what you want to explore. So feel free to mix your own Lego set and see if it's wrong, if it's not good, train again, all right? But I would like to draw your attention to these 4 images. Maybe you will ask me what actually is so special or different of these 4 images compared to the whole set. I can tell you, look at the camera angle. Because in this demo, I'm trying to look for a facade treatment on the front elevation, right? So that's why you can see the majority of the images I'm bringing in the front elevations. But I also want to add something like a tilt up, looking up angle, or in this case also looking up, right? And some of the weird shooting perspective angles that I want to add in here, and why. So these 4 images are called regularization images, where they have different view angles. They maybe might have a day or night view, or even monochrome, right? And it will have something like 20% to a maximum 25% of your set. That means like 4 out of 20 images, you want to have this set. Why? So in a nutshell, regularization images are neutral references, neutral ref images used during your LoRa training to keep your model balanced. So what is that? These images, they act like a control group to help your LoRa to remember the general structure of the base model, like what actually a normal building looks like. Okay, so it doesn't overfit or to become too obsessed with your training style. You don't want to all come up with something like it's always flat on your patterns. That's why this works well when you have something just a little bit like to hint, different angles, just to hint the model that this is, you were talking about buildings, you're not talking about a piece of paper, something like that. Okay, so this is what actually, again, just to summarize that if I'm to train a mode facade LoRa with 20 images, right, the settings are, this you don't have to worry about that because this is the flux model that we're using to train that. But sometimes the training duration depends on the flux model or the model that you're using. This is a fast one, which is only a few minutes. So on Xfigura, you can do that. Okay, or if you want a better one, like let's say you want to train 70 images, it would take you hours. All right. Also, for the LoRa ranked, also auto-handled by the platform, steps, default. Okay, data set, we have 20 images, captions. Okay, captions. Just now I talked about you need to describe your own images, but on Xfigura, to save your life, make your life easier, there's no captioning necessary on this platform. Okay, so the AI model will do it for you. It's automated. Right, so regularization, I already talked about that, and the trigger word is mode facade. So a little bit of the tips, pick the facade images that teach geometry, not decoration, very important, and look for stronger images on the light and shadow definition, all right? So not too less contrast, I would say. If you want a better, with the visible depth, a clear structural logic, and also avoid overly textured, colorful. Don't go for too colorful things. All right, symmetrical won't be good at all. That will flatten the learning. And also to help the LoRa to understand how surfaces move, catch light and breathe. This is all about what you are putting into your data set. Okay, if you go to Xfigura, because I think George has already demonstrated quite a lot on Xfigura, but here I will just show you a snapshot of that. If you go into Xfigura, and there will be something like, if you double click just anywhere on the canvas, you will find this train your LoRa node. So when you click on your train on LoRa, I'll show you after this, don't worry. So this is where you will see that you need to name your LoRa, you need to put your trigger words. Sometimes you can have your LoRa name the same as your trigger word, okay? So this is one of the tips. And then there are two models on Xfigura. You can choose the Enterprise LoRa or Flux LoRa Turbo. So which one is faster or more secure as you wish. And the training images, there will be this part that you have to drag and drop your images here. So at least remember that 20 images is the minimum. So, look at that. You have 50 images here for maximum for this Enterprise LoRa. Maybe for Flux LoRa Turbo, you can have less or more images, depends on the model. Okay, and let's just go back a little bit. Are you seeing my Xfigura platform? It's yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So this is where the canvas is, and if you have something like a LoRa already completed, the LoRa training already completed, you will see something like a node like this. Okay. The first thing, I just will zoom in and let you see what's going on with this one. And I click on it, right? You'll see actually I have a LoRa, which is trained on a Flux, and also the credits that I've used to train this. So I can choose to download this LoRa for myself, or to click on the settings, just let you look at what actually the model is. It's a Flux model. And the settings here it will show you my training. And this is the training data I have. There's a LoRa name here because it's less contrast. You can't see the words. Never mind. It's called mode facade. And the trigger words are almost the same. And then there are the training steps. Actually, this was actually what I have chosen during my training, and the images are here. So you can see actually I have a total of 20 images selected, and the size is not big. So please, if you want to train Aurora, don't use JPEGs or PNGs, or which is like 3, 4, 5 megabytes. It's not going to work very well. Okay, choose small images. It is capable of understanding small size images, but not too small. Maybe like you want to go around like within 1 megabyte. Okay, so this is the data of my LoRa, and this is where you can start always, like if I just delete this and do it one more time for you. So you double click and you will see something like a LoRa training. So just click on that and you'll see that, right? Again, the first thing is to choose your 20 to 50 images and drop it here. So just click it and go to your PC, upload the images, and then go down and check whether it's online. Sometimes I don't know why is it that it has to display online, offline, but it has to be online somehow, right? And then if you are to train an enterprise LoRa, it will tell you that you will need 20 credits for that. And then go to the settings again, like what I've shown you. Which one would you like to choose? See that if you have something like the basics enterprise LoRa, 20 something to 60 images. And then the second one will be 45 to 135. And then third one, more complex, 168 to 500 images. But it was super fast because it feels like I can see this is maybe a very good model because you only need 10 minutes to get it done, right? And the settings of your LoRa again, LoRa name, and something like the trigger words. Actually, I won't go too much like a photograph of what, you know. I will use very short names related to my LoRa, all right? And then this is where you want to choose whether you want it the baseline. Baseline is very like, it's not to say that it's very sketchy or very simple, but it at least gives you rough ideas on the massing and chipset forms of your, the facade. Maybe it reads if you want fast iterations or a refined one. So try on it, which suits you better. Okay, so if you have done on everything, right? So click on the settings button just to close it, and then just click train, okay? Because I don't have anything here, so it doesn't allow me to train anything, all right? So if you have the training complete here, you don't need to worry about that because on your infinite canvas, when you click on that, you see that some of the information, okay, don't worry about that, but you want to already generate images. So this is what, if you have something like double click, again, you want to have an image model. So this is what I've done, okay? I just demonstrate one more time. On the blank image box, when you click on it, it will tell you that you're using Nano Banana, but this is not the model that you want to use, right? So you go to the down here and choose the model that you want. Again, remember the LoRa. Just choose that. Okay, so what will happen? When you choose the Flagstaff LoRa, you will have the settings like here, and then you can choose the image quality. Let's say you want to go for a high one, an image ratio, right? And then the styles, the in-house styles, but this is the style that you have trained. This is mine. When you click on it, can you see that? It's going to have the trigger word in my box already ready before I prompt anything inside, okay? So in that case, if I've here, just need to show you that my facade LoRa has generated this for me. And when I click on it and click on the input, you can see some of the prompt. I just want to show you the prompt. So this is the example prompt I put in. Again, most important thing is your trigger word, whatever you want to prompt for an image. So be simple as possible. A little bit of the description if you want, because words like origami is quite strong in image generation. So use it with caution, okay? Like angular geometries, if you want to really put a lot of like weight on what you want to generate, okay? Sculptural effect. That's why when I put in this prompt and start to generate, I get this kind of output, all right? And then again, going back to settings, if you are looking at a variation of this, so your, always remember that we click on it, and you always have your style clicked, you know, to have the trigger word there. It's a blue framed, means that it's activated. And then also look at down here, the output quality, all right? Normal or high, and the seed. Okay, seed again, remember that we're talking about variation. So you can actually, you don't worry about what number is that. If you go up and down, right, you go up like, you know, you just want to create another variation. It will be really similar, but in another way. So let's just try one of it. You will see it will pick something. A seed means like, you know, a little seed, right? Where it comes from. So the AI model would go and find outside the whole world in the big library to find something like, you know, already something like a building, and then try to integrate it with your LoRa to create another image. So this is what actually seed means, all right? So if you're not happy with this one, click on another seed number, or you can even type your own number, I think, yeah. You can even type a random number. It will still get into a random variation, all right? So this is about it for, and I will come back to my slides. Okay, so these are the examples you can get. If you are, you need to be a little bit like practicing your prompting skills so that you can get really something, because someone is saying that, oh, okay, I have the LoRa, but I'm still prompting like, you know, bad, or, you know, like lousy output. So again, you need to put a little bit of effort to learning how to prompt. So these are the examples that I also use ChatGPT to help me to enhance it. So daytime shadow logic, night experiments, you can do that, but you will see always with your trigger word, all right? And then some of the other examples which I find interesting that I want to show you from the same LoRa that have not the same prompt. Sometimes I will prompt like office building, prompt like gallery or residential or so. So this is up to you how you want to prompt for your images. And because of the session is short, I can't show you a lot of examples, but if you are interested on learning the interior concept LoRa, which is something I call the name Boutique DNA, how to make a LoRa for your interiors, you can go to my Gumroad and get the guide of the full course of how to do that step by step. And practical example, if you ask me what are these architects outside of us doing, this is one very good example from Koop Himmelblau. From one of my connections on LinkedIn, the architect Albert Sumin. He's also a computational designer. He shared this where he has trained this LoRa by himself using all the images, all the visuals from their designs, their signature designs from Koop Himmelblau. And this actually has been done maybe 1 or 2 years ago using a earlier model, which is called the XD-XL. So as you can see, he was trying to train it with a very, this VRAM actually is like, you know, it's already quite heavy for the PC because he trained it on his own PC, but nowadays we don't have to, we can train it online, right? So the speed of training for him is like 2 to 3 hours, and the data set he chose 40 to 70 images, right? And then he captioned the images one by one, all right? So they describe what image is that. So it's a long process, right? So these are the outputs that he uses LoRa to generate for their future experiments. Another one from him as well. This is the newer model, which is a flux-depth LoRa that you can use on Xfigura. And yeah, again, more data. So this is the data set actually he has. I think these images, you can find it on their official websites. They just use it, the nice perspectives of the buildings and just to train it, and then to put them into their LoRa, and they get it again. So image captioning in this case, because it has already evolved, the model, so it's optional whether they want to caption it or not, right? And then these are the buildings actually he has shown us in his webinar. And the buildings actually, the massing actually they are looking for, because they want something like this. And then also one of the examples, one of the, I think this is, I don't know, it's an office tower or a mixed office residential tower of their style. So these are all using LoRa. Okay, and again, he showed us without a LoRa, with a prompt, you get something like that, which you might not like it. Maybe it's not your design DNA, but with a LoRa, they get something very close to their signature style. Okay, so we are done. You have graduated on how to train a LoRa. So I hope that you'll bring it into your projects. And the rest actually from now on will be more theoretical. It's not going to be so much on the technical side, because most technical side we have already done today. So here a little bit relaxed. How to craft perfect prompts. The right prompt matters. A general prompt, of course, you can always start on your language model or any image generation model. Just design a modern building. You won't do that today, I think, right? You know that it's going to be random. And a specific prompt will be something a little bit more. So don't try to be too imaginative first, right? Work on the basics. Wait, I think there is one raised hand. Shall I address to your question after this when we end the session? Is that fine, Fira?
We are doing. Actually, we don't have much time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we'll do that on the Q&A. Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, the very basic things I want to tell you is always just keep in mind that you only need to know the 5W1H. Okay, works well for any AI tool powered by large language model. Anything, always with the concept of what do you want to prompt, a house, why, and then when, at least where in Singapore, who or how. Why, maybe not so much, but the more concrete stuff that you want to put in, the solid stuff, like this one, at least 3, subject, context, and style. So effective image prompts doesn't need to be too long, okay? Any model, this is Nano Banana model. So on that, you just put, you need to just have a modern minimalist villa, right? What you want to see in the image, and the context is where, what surrounds it, okay? And in a pine forest, and the style, whether you want architectural photography with natural lighting. So this is just about that, okay? You get a decent image. And on Xfigura, this one I won't repeat. I just want to show you that, again, you have the subject, context, and style. If you have a very, very raw, not rendered SketchUp model, sometimes you can also start to render your raw model here on Xfigura and get something like this or this on the top, So the top one actually looks a little bit more not so in the quality side, right? But this one on the bottom actually is much, much better. Why? I just want to show you that when I click on the model on top, actually it's very complicated prompting, but it doesn't mean that you always get good results if you prompt it like that, right? So this is just for your information. Okay, And then this one, I would just go through very fast because on that, after of course, you won't be 100% satisfied with your generated image. You always want to edit that. So bring it to the editor on Xfigura. When you click on it, you'll get into this Photoshop, like he has already demonstrated, right? And then you can always have like add brushes, you want to highlight here and then change it to something, add something like human figures, lasso tool, you want to delete somewhere, erase, recolor, retexture, anywhere you like, do it, or remove the background. Okay, in that case. So I have it in the editor just to add a silhouette human figure on there, but when I come back to Xfigura, it will be a black figure. And then you can always pull out another node like that. Just use Nano Banana 2, the latest model, which is actually a very cost-effective model, and prompt it for render the human figure, right? Just write it natural language with photorealistic quality that blends into the image seamlessly. You need to say that, blend into the image seamlessly, and then keep the rest of the image intact. If not, it will try to iterate on your other parts of your image. Okay, so very quick one. You can use some of these words here. If you are like lack of vocabulary, use photography terms or search the internet. Examples here are camera angles like eye level, bird's eye level, worm eye, low angle, lens type, okay, telephoto, lighting conditions, natural lighting or soft diffuse light. If you like backlighting in some cases, try it, or dramatic shadows. And technical settings also, but it does not always work very well. So it depends, okay? So if you don't want to go too technical, sometimes like the aperture, deep focus, bokeh, yes, it might work or may not, in some of the, if you work on perspectives, all right? Product, yes, for bokeh, but not for houses. And short composition, rule of thirds work quite well, okay? Center composition as well. And professional style reference, sometimes you say that, okay, I want a style which is Arc Daily. Yes, it may give you very good results because it try to extract some of the styles from the magazine quality, all right? And effective video prompts, this is when you want to go into videos, okay? So just now we have stopped on images. And very quick one for you, if you like to keep this screenshotted, because it's a very good formula where you want to have these prompts, again, cinematography, camera work, shot types, okay, and the subject. Action, if you want action like movement. Usually we want slow movements, I think, for us, like walkthroughs, right? So it's not going to be like really like fast, like movie acting. We want maybe to follow a person walking through a lobby. Context, okay, environment, time of the day, and style and ambience. So these 5 parts is the essential formula recipe. In many cases, one word is good enough to make your video creation stand out, okay? One word only. Like this. So I also use one image of a batik gallery, a brutalism style. So I just type into a video model, say dolly in, pan left. So this is what, it will work in a very simple way. Okay, and finished with the AI models on Xfigura, but the next one, actually, I just want to inform you that the latest news about video generation, if you really don't have any platforms or do not want to start with any platforms yet, you can go for Google Flow, where you go into Google Flow. So this is the website, the URL link. Go to Google Flow or just type, and you can create the videos already in this website, which is called Flow. Okay, the same thing. Use upload an image, and there's a box there, like this. Sorry, let me go back. You go to Flow, and you just need to upload an image of your generated or your visual on anything rendered, and you say create a video of this image doing what, okay? So using some of the recipes that I've shared with you, try on Flow. Or in Gemini, actually, you can also generate the videos if you have a paid subscription. So this is my Gemini, right? So I just do a very quick experiment. I have two images. This is a garlic-inspired gallery I've generated. But I have two images. One is a top-down view, and then the other one is a wide angle from far, right? And front perspective of the gallery. I have two. So I just type this. I have two images. I want to use the Google Flow, okay, to generate a smooth drone camera movement from the top gallery, moving down. This is my idea, okay? So you have to have an idea like what do you want to have in this video. Okay, Google Flow can generate up to 12 seconds, 8 or 12 seconds of video. So try to formulate, what you want in that few seconds. So I said, okay, from the top moving down to the first person eye view and then move forward into the interior, showcasing what? Spatial relationships or lighting conditions, whatever you want to describe, okay? But not too long, because remember, long prompts might not work very good. So based on the two images, actually, I was asking which feature would you recommend, because Flow has two features. One is the start end frame or ingredient. Okay, don't worry about that because you can explore that later on when you have free time to. I was trying to ask which feature, but it's actually I have the thinking mode, but it does not really. Sometimes the answers does not come back with, okay, I will recommend you this, but actually this model gives me generate immediately a video for me with music together. So you don't have to worry about music. It generates all together. Okay. So this is a few second video. You can fine tune that on Xfigura if you feel that it's like a little bit wonky somewhere, right? This can be enhanced anyhow, but the idea is there. Okay, so a little bit about Flow.
Jun, Flow is the same, is by Google as well, right?
Sorry, yeah, Fira?
Flow is by Google as well.
Yes, it's by Google.
So if I type the Gemini just now, it doesn't use the same engine as Flow, is it?
Flow actually is a platform for the video, but if you type to generate a video in Gemini, it will use the model of Google Veo. The model name is called, it's
Okay.
Veo.
So different engine.
Yeah, it's the same engine.
Oh, different or same?
It's the same model that they are using. Flow is a platform. Gemini is a platform. So, but Flow is specialized only for video generation. But they're using the model, the AI model. The name of the model is called Veo.
Oh,
VEO. Yeah.
okay. Different. All right.
So these are the features that Flow can give you. So like it or not, try it out. Videos. Okay, this is the last section that I will have. So after that, we can have time for some questions. A little bit just about your design and research assistant in the future. If you are, it's very easy to access this platform. So you don't have to really, like find, because they are very popular in the moment, especially Google AI Studio and Notebook LM. And yeah, this is one of the quotes from Niels Fischer, Zaha Hadid Architects director, says that the next big thing in architecture actually is using language models. Okay, so like in coding, build your AI app. So you can see at the left side, actually, this is some of the coding language. You don't have to worry about that because we don't need to learn that. We can actually ask the model to build that for us. So what can we build? Let's say we love to do this, right? Image prompt machine. Build one for yourself. Or specifically build a nano banana powered AI image app. You can say that because within the Gemini or the Google environment, you can use Gemini to, because nano banana belongs to Google, so it's much better to use an image model, which actually is yeah, in this case is nano banana. And then in Google AI Studio, this is where actually when you type on the URL, go to ai.google.com apps, you will see this interface where you can build your ideas with Gemini. Okay, so describe an app and let Gemini do the rest. So that's it. Okay, don't think of like I need to learn really technical things or skills that I need to prompt for something else, you know. So just like this, build an app that has the following features. Try to bring out your creativity. It can be wrong, but fine tune that after that, you know, the first app will come out. So the first thing actually in this example, I want to build something like a text box where I can type in something like basic interior design ideas, you know, some broken words, let's say, keywords, ideas, right? Broken. Okay, then I want a prompt enhancer to expand my simple ideas into a highly detailed professional prompt. You can say that. And then later on, I also want to create something, a drop down to select the aspect ratios because I want the, you know, different aspect ratios for my images, and one button to generate the final image using an image model based on the enhanced prompting. So these are my raw ideas. Okay. For example, actually I built that because just now with the natural language, you will come up with something like this, the boxes. That's why I'm telling you that it's so easy that the Gemini will build, Google AI Studio will build this for you. So there's this box here, and then you will try to put in your broken or your silly ideas, your raw ideas, whatever you want to, a few, and then you can already, just now I said that I want a box that I can click to enhance the prompt with, say, like I don't want to be too long sometimes, you know, so I can even have scale bar here to pull on to maybe 500 characters and then press on the enhance prompt to get a prompt and aspect ratios, choose it, and to generate something like this. So you can get something like that. Okay, this actually is very useful if you don't have any image generation tools yet. So go to Google AI Studio. Is now free to use it. Okay, so if you're not satisfied with this outcome of this app, because this is called an app, okay, if you're not satisfied with that, you can go to AI Studio, and just now, like what actually I have built it on my own. Give me 1 minute just to load this one, right? This is my app. Okay, if you are not satisfied, let's say if I want to just, okay, let's just try something Japanese style, living room, something like that. Okay, so if you can go for how many characters as you like, enhance the prompt, and it will process, because this one is too short, but it will try to elaborate like this. Okay, so a little bit more about how actually we'll bring in the context, what actually should a Japanese style living room should have, you know, as furniture or so. So you can have it like this, choose anything you want and to generate, right? And that's where you can get, but of course it's not as simple as that, because when look at the left side, because actually you can make changes, all right? you say that, okay, let's say you just say it naturally, I don't like the style, you know. Can you change something like that? Just write it like a conversational thing, you know, like change the settings into like not only 3 aspect ratios but 4, or maybe to extend the maximum prompt length into 1000 instead of just 500. Just type it here and start to send the prompt, and you will see the process of trying to modify your app. All right, so this is the example. And I just want to go back to the start to let you see the interface is here. So start to build your app, okay? Or if you don't really have any idea how to do it, you can go down, browse the app gallery, and see something like, okay, someone is doing this, you know. If you like the geo seeker or you like this, you can even click onto it, use it. For one example, I can show you. Actually, I was looking at this EcoPath. It says that it turned real roads on the Google Map into immersive audio stories synced to your journey's exact duration. That means actually you can generate an audio short story walking along, you know, a street on the Google, based on the Google Map data, and then it will generate something like a short audio that has the context, the surrounding urban context. It's very good. So I was thinking, okay, I want to use this one. I just click on that, you know, and I want to modify this one because it sounds like this one actually would turn the journey into a living story. Yes, it sounds like good. So I can have a starting point. You can go to your Google Map and type an address, or to copy an exact code location on your Google Map, okay? So I won't show it here. You can explore it on your own. Starting point, let's say in somewhere in Ipoh, I said, okay, Jalan somewhere, Ipoh, you know, you can type it a better an address or pinpoint a place, a building, okay, and set your destination. So is it a walking or drive? So this is an already built app for you, but you can modify from here, because I don't want this type of things like children's story or fantasy adventure to generate my story. So actually I have modified mine. It looks like this. So I say that no, I want to turn this I want to turn this whole app into a site analysis app. So that has something like architect self-dialogue when walking down a street, so which is actually very good for us to, you know, have the Google Maps eyes to look together, walk around on the same street with you together. So this is what actually I have. To explore the route through the eyes of an architect, okay, to uncover the spatial stories and structural secrets hidden. Sometimes you cannot see with your own eyes, so you borrow Google's eyes to do this together with you. So your journey will be narrated through the lens of an architect and urban planner. This is what actually I have modified. So let's go back to my slides. Okay, so this is the smart site analysis of my own. I have already modified it. The persona is like the AI model is now instructed as to act as an urban designer or architect conducting a personal site analysis. All right. So I have pinpointed this in somewhere in Ipoh. This is the code on Google Maps. So just copy it and paste it here. All right. Plan your journey and then click run the journey.
The Birch Memorial Clock Tower truly asserts itself here, a precise articulation of civic authority. My earlier question about the genius loci, whether it resides in the steadfast stone or the rhythmic void of the square, still resonates.
Okay, so this is just one very short sentence of the 3-minute journey. It estimates for me actually from point A to point B is 3 minutes of walking. So in every 1 minute, it will generate one paragraph, and the eyes of the Google will try to extract all the urban elements for me. So this is based on a real-time Google map. It generates, they extract the urban features, perform a self-dialogue like me talking to myself, or designer asking questions, segments per minute walk. It generates per minute, right? In every minute, what actually is inside this paragraph. So you can see it you know, all the narratives of the place, you know, pick up some of the facade designs or how actually the pavement is looking like. So, and then to turn it into an audio record, and you can download it for further use. Okay, so the last one is Notebook LM. So I think it will, this is the last thing actually you would need to know. I won't go too deep into that because of time constraint, but I want you to know that Notebook LM is the next smaller, more concise, narrowed down model of your ChatGPT or your Gemini, because it is something like your agent or your assistant to generate audios, mind maps, flashcards, infographic, data table, video, also videos, yes, reports, quiz, and very important, slide decks, presentation slides. So it looks like this. If you go into your Notebook LM, you just type Notebook LM, you will get into this one. So the first thing actually you will do, you can drop your files. If you have something like, 100 pages of information that you have on PDF, images, documents, whatever you want, audio, okay, from your drive, copy text, or websites. You can even copy the websites and bring it into here and drop all your files. You will start to, this is the interface. And you can see that actually I already generate some of the notebooks for myself. Let's say, like, I want to actually do a research of one designer architect, which is called Labors Woods. So I gathered a lot of his on the Wikipedia or the websites, actually on the URLs I've copied here, the sources. And then the source will start to, using LLM, you start to, based on these 10 sources, try to generate a summary for me at least, right? And then from the summary, I can start to ask questions like, doing a research for myself. So it will start to answer you with cited. And you see that if you have the answers, not only that, but you will be referred to the source, that where actually it comes from. This is very good for research. Okay. And then in another example, actually, I've done something like using another method called the architectural anchors, the guide to design intelligence. Actually, we are talking about architectural logic in using architectural image generation models. And then later on, actually, I found, because I have an anchor guide, I have generated a PDF and just fit into that. So it will give me something, a summary, and then ask some questions about, what are the logics. And after that, actually, what I want to show you is you just need to click, if you want to, a slide. You just need to generate an AI slide deck based on your sources. You can always choose. If you want to untick somewhere the sources, you can unclick those. And then start to generate something like this. This has been generated. I just want to show you. So these are my research. Actually, in just like 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, it will generate a set of slides for you. Okay. So these are the slides actually I was trying to present. The new way of doing image generation in a more advanced technique. But if you don't like this one, you can always click into it to revise, okay? So click that and revise and say that I don't want this architecture intelligence. I want to change, the wording on this title. Just take it, like make the title shorter, things like that, okay? So this is Notebook LM. And that's it about my whole workshop. If you want to learn more about the AI, I have some of the workshops and guides. Actually, I have developed it. They are very structured, formulated, really good for architects who want to really start for that. There is a 1, 2, 3. So every one of that will be at 2.5 hours of that, with all the guides and slides and recorded workshops. You can start from beginning to learn one by one. And also, if you want a controlled urban site analysis, actually, I've done this in a very small PDF guide. I also uploaded on Gumroad. You can purchase it from Gumroad. And this one actually is for free. So you better go there to download Nano Banana Pro guide for 1 to 12 perspective visuals. All I've done, actually, I've done it on a table. You can just copy the whole thing and generate your own using one hero shot and generate all the other perspectives. For example, roof interiors, other atmospheres, focus on details and so on. Okay, and the last one actually is my upcoming workshop. If you are interested on looking into the next level, which is called the system prompting for architecture, this is a little bit more control. I mean, we have much more control nowadays with the technology, which like absolute, not to say 100% absolute, but 90% above of consistency control on your outputs. The workshop will tell you how, building on node-based workflows. So thank you very much.
Oh, that just response. A lot to absorb. The whole time I was like print screen paste.
Oh, okay, okay,
But
yeah.
good.
I really understand that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a very it's very vast. Because
Yeah.
I have been in this field for maybe 3 years or more. There are a lot of information keep on coming, which actually sometimes to me is also I'm overwhelmed with the pace of that. But we try to learn bit by bit. For me as a frontier, actually I try to grab all the useful things and show you guys what actually is updated that you can follow, and something you can just leave it.
Okay. All right. I think we quickly go into the questions. By Shak Kai Lui, how do we identify a seed we want in accordance to a singular reference prompt? To have a control iteration design identity is a seed and output of all the mixture of prompts we use in a singular time. Do we train the LoRa based on singular prompt instead? I think partly you have answered this. Maybe you can make a summary about the seed.
Okay, wait. Let me just go to the right question. From who is that? Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. How do we identify a seed we want in accordance to a singular reference prompt? To have a controlled iteration design entity is the seed and output of all the mixture of prompts we use in a singular time. Do we train the LoRa based on the singular prompt instead? Okay, the first question actually, how do we identify a seed? If a seed actually is just like a seed, right? Before a plant comes out, let's say, because before you generate an image, you need, or you plant a tree, you need a seed. So this is the basics of foundation of AI models. So we talk about seed means that we pick from anywhere. Just now when I pick on a number means that actually I'm looking on a random number. If you don't like this image, you can always pick a random number, or just pick another seed, another thing. Just if you don't like this fruit seed, you don't like rambutan, just go for apple and see. But again, this is the nature of the AI model that I cannot set. That means that actually you still need to pick from a random noise, we call it, and denoise it in order to get a decent result image. So that's the foundation of it. So I can tell you that we cannot identify a seed we want. Okay, so it's all based on randomness at the first place.
Okay.
Right. And I think the one is, do we train the LoRa based on singular prompt instead? Remember that we train the LoRa actually is based on the data set of the images, okay? And there's no singular prompt on that. And after that, when you use your LoRa, again, remember the target, the goal actually we want for the LoRa for what, If you want to train on high-rise envelopes, then you only prompt for high-rise, a high-rise tower with what, So keep your prompts always related and relevant to what you want to generate.
Then we go to the next question. Is the image created going to be accurate? Example, when we give specific prompt like a create 3-story building, will it show a 3-story building, or it can just like create random image that can be misleading?
Okay, because of the development of these models, they are trying to learn better and better. Every day you will see something like they are close to what we wanted, right? And then if you prompt for a 3-story building, sometimes you will come up with four stories, sometimes. So that means actually you keep on, maybe you will want to try a few times to get, but again, if you say a mid-rise is much, much better than 3. But I cannot guarantee that saying that it's not good or bad. You might hit the lotto. You get a 3-story building, or sometimes you get a 2.5, sometimes you get 5 stories. But keep on prompting is what I can say. It's what actually we have from the models today. But tomorrow, someone can guarantee you that you will get accurately a 4-story building if you want it.
It's getting better.
Yeah.
I think that will answer the facade generated are complex and interesting. Can it translate to floor plan? So we jump to the last question.
Okay.
Because,
Okay. The facade generated one are complex and interesting. Can it translate into floor plans? Okay. What you can do is like in the demo of George's demo on Xfigura, you can try to use a very, a clear with very good architectural clarity, right? Just now, like you can see the shadows and the geometry, the massing actually is very clear, right? So you can try to bring it into the generate a 3D from there, and using trellis or meshy, I think the model names. So try to get something like a rough one, because you can never generate excellent 3D models, but again, the technology is evolving. You might get it one day, right? But when you get that 3D model, you bring it into, you can import it into Blender, Revit, or where else? Rhino, Rhino. And then from there, actually, you can try to further repair the meshes and turn it into sub-Ds if you are playing Rhino. So from there, you can cut it, into sections and try to develop your whole floor plan. Everyone does that actually. A lot of the architects actually are doing this way. So there's no shortcut for immediately doing floor plans. You won't trust that, right?
Okay. All right. Okay. Great. This recording will be posted on YouTube within 7 days. I think that's the end of our session. I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to Architect Josh Guaida from Xfigura team, and Architect Jun Chow, also our sponsor, UAC and technical team, and all participants for spending your Saturday morning with us. Do we have any problem with uploading your attendance? I think, hope admin can clarify the upload proof, please. So I believe the upload is, you just need to print screen of your you are attending this, like having your name, and then also print screen of this Zoom, and then you can upload it to PAM website. All right, before we conclude, can we all take pictures, print screen of the speakers, and also I'm not sure if the attendees can view as well. Salam?
No, attendees cannot.
Attendees cannot. Okay, only the speakers.
Yeah, only the
All right.
speaker.
I'm not
Okay,
sure
ready, guys?
George is still around. I think he's not around.
Oh, Josh not around.
Yeah.
Okay. Only me and you.
Okay.
can.
Okay, okay, ready, guys?
Okay.
Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. And then with the. Okay, ready, guys? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then last one. 1, 2, 3. And then the. Okay, one more. Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Stay
Thank you.
experimental. See you guys in next session.